Hello, everybody. This is your host, Odd Job Entertainment, bringing you another video. Let's do our classic sound check, make sure that everything is working the way that I think it's working. Okay, so at least my audio is coming through. Nothing's changed, so it should be good. How's everybody doing? I'm doing pretty good. There's something that I wanted to talk about today, which you might be able to give yourself a hint by looking at the tabs I have open. But let's give a few more minutes for people to come in. We did have the Battlefield 6 beta recently. That went really well. I think Battlefield 6 is shaping up to be a really good entry to the franchise, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Oh, let's see. This is supposed to be showing my camera right here. Let's try and fix that, shall we? Hmm. That's weird. See, it should be here on screen too as well. Very interesting. Huh. All right. Well, I guess we will. I guess we're down a couple scenes. That kind of sucks. I was going to use this as a way to get some stuff in order before bringing it to your guys' attention. Okay, we are going to be checking out the Star Citizen Live today. So got that queued up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start now. This is gonna be the conversation topic for the video, and I'm just gonna kind of give an intro like I'm doing a YouTube video. You guys have seen me do this before. Don't click away when I say that this is Odd Job Entertainment signing off, because I will still be streaming after this. But there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about today, so let's get right into it. Hey everybody, this is your host Odd Job Entertainment bringing you another video, and today I wanted to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is medical assisting. If you don't know, back in 2014, I became a nationally certified medical assistant, so NCMA. And that certification comes through NCCT, the National Center for Competency Testing. There's a few other organizations that provide this kind of certification, but you need this in order to operate as a medical assistant in many medical systems. Since 2014 up until now, before I was working as a full-time engineer, I was still working as a medical assistant to pay my way through college. So over the course of the past 10 years, I have accrued about 8 years of experience. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you could probably guess as to why 2 years of that are not included. But needless to say, 8 years, pretty long time in the field. During that time, I got to work with some of the most amazing physicians and some of the worst. But overall, I would say that it was a pretty positive experience. There's always been something that's kind of bothered me though, and that became more evident as I gained seniority among my peers. I started to have the opportunity to train more medical assistants that were working not under me, but I was raising them up to the level that we needed them to be. So I was their trainer. And there's a few things that are considered core competencies for a medical assistant that everybody needs to know how to do. One of them is how to do a blood draw. The clinical term for that is often used as venipuncture. Vene for vein, and then puncture because you're stabbing right through it, right? So venipuncture is the technical term, but whatever you might think of as a blood draw, it could be IV. You do get trained on how to place IVs, but as a medical assistant, you're generally not allowed to administer medications. That would usually be something that the nurse does, but it does vary state to state. So I'm going to try and stick to generalities because I don't want to get too in the weeds there, because there is a level of variance across the nation. But venipuncture is certainly a core competency. Another one is how to take vital signs. Vital signs include like patient's temperature, their height, weight, and most importantly, their blood pressure. That's one of the things that you are trained to do that not everybody is going to know how to do. If you have a scale, you probably know how to take your weight, and you can probably use a thermometer as well to check your temperature. But blood pressures, you got to be good at that, and you do it all the time as a medical assistant. Now, of course, today we usually have automated machines that do it, but you still need to know how to do a manual BP, because if there's ever any doubt about the reading from the machine, you're always going to want to revert to the analog mode and do it yourself. Another core competency could be a sterile procedure, right? Knowing how to keep yourself, the patient, and your area clean so that you can minimize infection. So, in an effort to make sure that everybody has the same level of competency, that's what organizations like NCCT are for. They are in charge of making sure that you regularly do what's called a continuing education, or a CE. These are basically short little mini classes that you take in order to make sure that you are up to date on the most relevant information. The problem that I have is with the method that NCCT and other organizations use to get people to do these courses, and the content of the courses themselves. So let's take a look at what we have here. Currently, I am still registered as a nationally certified medical assistant. And if I want to recertify, I can pay the $89 fee. They did change it so that you can actually do your credits ahead of time, and I do think that that is a positive move, because it means that I can take care of these throughout the year and then just pay the fee whenever it comes time to renew. So that I think is good. But you can see that it does cost $89 to renew my certification. If I had multiple certifications, I can renew them all at once, and it scales depending on the number of certifications that you're trying to renew. So here's 2+, right? So then the next requirement after paying the recertification fee is to do your annual required CE contact hours. So in my case, looks like it's 12, right? Okay, so let's take a look at some of these courses. This is where it starts to get a little hairy, because they don't really like to be sharing this. But I just want you to take a look at the titles for a minute. Obesity, a complex chronic disease. And ask yourself, is it within the purview of a medical assistant to diagnose someone with obesity? No, it is not. It is good to know, but it does not affect the core competencies of being a medical assistant. Getting the red out, an introduction to hemolysis. You're going to hear people say it in all kinds of ways. Again, we're talking about hemolytic anemias. Is that something that I can diagnose? Nope, because I'm not a diagnostician. it's not in my purview to diagnose anybody with anything. HIPAA guidance for coders. This is getting a little closer to what my core competencies might be. There have been some limited interaction that I've had with entering in codes for medical procedures and things that we did in the office. Another look at masks. Revision of post-test questions. This course reviews masks used in the medical field, including the different types of masks and when those different types are the most effective in reducing the likelihood of airborne transfer of pathogens. Now, there's something that could actually be very beneficial for me to know as a medical assistant, because if I'm going into a room that is potentially contaminated, I need to know what protections to take to keep myself or my patients safe. Social media effects. Am I Mark Zuckerberg? Do I have any influence in being able to change the social media landscape of the world around me? No, and it's not part of my core competencies as a medical assistant. Basic visual acuity tests, that is something I need to know how to do with a patient. Phlebotomy pre-analytic variables. Errors in laboratory testing can result from issues occurring before the testing process, during the testing process, and after the testing process. All healthcare professionals responsible for blood specimen collection must be knowledgeable about pre-analytic causes of error. Okay, I agree with that statement. That's a little closer to our core competencies. But then we get to coronary artery disease. Heart disease is the leading cause of death of both men and women in the United States. Coronary artery disease is a type of heart disease and is the most common heart condition seen in the United States. This CE course will discuss coronary artery disease, including risk factors, diagnosis, and treatment. So now we get into that funny area again. Do I have the authority, and is it within my purview as a medical assistant to diagnose someone with coronary artery disease? No, it is not. Now, let's take the opportunity to do this. This is a very obvious vulnerability that NCCT has, but doesn't seem to want to do anything to fix it. So here we can see some of the problem. I've got the test material. Let's see, where'd it go? Is it here? I've got the test material on one side and the test on the other side. Now, surely it will not allow me to click begin test, right? Nope. I could go through and I could take this whole test. So I'm not saying that this is something you should do. I'm not saying that, but it is something that they are not preventing. And if you have this idea that your medical assistant is properly qualified to do the things that they are required to do in your medical office, it may be a mistake to make that assumption. Because they could, in theory, go through, take the entire test, not really learn anything from it. Which of the following is the term for an inadequate blood supply to an organ or part of the body, especially the heart muscles? They could just be doing this. Oh, it's probably angina. Alright, so I'm not going to go through and take this whole test. That's not the idea here. I'm trying to expose a obvious vulnerability in this process. This isn't good. If I as a medical assistant, or if the patient trusts that I as a medical assistant am qualified, I should be qualified. I should know this material. It shouldn't be so easy to just put answers on one side, test on the other, and take all my credit courses that way. It should not be that case. Now, in my experience as a trainer of medical assistants, oh, and of course they do have this code of ethics that you can pull up to read about their testing, right? I shall strive to remain current in my knowledge and skills by participating in continuing education activities within my professional disciplines. I'm sure somewhere it implies that you're not supposed to cheat on this, but they're not stopping you from doing it. And that is one of the major problems that I have with NCCT and other such organizations. Now, in my opportunities as a medical assistant to train new employees, it became very clear to me that the trainees that I was getting were not all of the same caliber. Some of them were much better prepared than others, and others I had to wonder if they had even taken a course at all. There was a lot of issues, particularly with blood draws or venipuncture, where I would have trainees that would tell me that they had never done a successful blood draw in their classwork, which is mind-boggling to me. My experience with doing blood draws was that I had to do it to 20 patients successfully, and I had to use different types of equipment to make it happen. I had to do it from different locations on the body. So I was very well versed when I finished my course, and so to hear that they had never had one successful draw before they get to me as their trainer, how does that happen? Glad you asked. So they provide documentation about how you can get your program accredited through NCCT. And I have that pulled up on this, let's see, not this one, this page here. So this is a simple, 8-page form. So you fill out some of the basic information to identify who you are, why you're requesting this. Put the name of your organization, who the top dog is, who's going to be the main face of the organization. You put the street address, exam coordinator information. That's more for, as I understand, the names and information of the people who will be conducting the testing center, not necessarily the program itself. Fill out some check marks. Are you a school, college, or other educational program sponsor, healthcare employer, dedicated testing center at a community college or university, or other? Right? There's test site requirements. So again, this is part of the test site application. So not necessarily the program yet. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let's see what it takes to get your program authorized by NCCT. Oh, good. Program eligibility application. So let's go ahead and check let's pretend we're going to check, because I don't actually have this open in Adobe, so it's not going to let me directly edit. But we put our little check mark for medical assisting program. We want to get people a certificate. The reason why there's both here is some programs do offer an associate's degree with your medical assisting certificate. So you have both those options, but mine was just a certificate, and that's all you need to get hired. You do need to go through your state, and they will have additional requirements. But then you get down to this page. This is all that NCCT is requiring to accredit your program. In your medical assistant program, are the students required to complete the following skills with live patient experience in all of the areas below? Venipuncture, listed first and foremost, all right? That's great, right? Does it say successful? Does it give any requirements about how much venipuncture they do? Or what types of venipuncture they do? No, it just says venipuncture. Can they poke a vein? Not can they get blood out of it, but can they poke it? Capillary puncture, medication administration to include injection. This is subcutaneous. That means goes in the fatty parts of your body. ID, IM. IM is for intramuscular. I don't actually remember what ID is, so maybe I'm a little incompetent. ECG performance, that's when you do all the stickers on the chest and you check out how their heart is doing. Fun fact, it's called a 12-lead ECG, but it's actually only got 10 stickers. The other 2 leads are approximated based on the location of the 10. Sterile technique and vital signs. BP, blood pressure, respirations. I'm not remembering what P is. Temperature, height, weight, body mass index, and pulse oximetry. And then you just click yes. Hey, that's pretty slick. So surely this isn't all that's required for medical assistant. Oh, no, that's all that's required for medical assistant. Interesting. Now your next question should be, well, surely they have additional requirements. They're just not listed here, right? And when I turn this into a video, I will be showing the edited email that I got from a representative at NCCT, edited to, of course, obscure the names of the people involved. But I sent an inquiry. How do I get my program approved? Because what if I did want to get my School of Odd Job Entertainment accredited as a medical assisting program? What would that require? And is there anything that I'm missing here that I'm not seeing? Nope. This is it. You attest that they are learning these things. There's no further requirements to get more detailed into how much of each of these things they're learning. You just have to say that they're doing it, and then they'll have someone come and evaluate your plan. But this is the criteria. That's it. So then it starts to make a lot of sense why my trainees varied so much in capability. Because if this is the minimum, this is the standard. Right? That's how most things work in life. If you have a minimum requirement, that becomes what people are going to do. Right? Why would you train above that if you don't have to? It's very rare that you'll find exceptions to that. So the reason why I bring this up is because now that I am no longer working as a medical assistant and I am strictly a patient, I now get to pull the ladder up behind me and call out what I think is not a safe practice. I showed you how the material that I am required to study does not necessarily line up with the certificate that I hold. The process that the organization is using to accredit the program that I took doesn't really hold them accountable for making sure that I am competent at the end of that program. And then in my 10 years of work, the other thing that I've noticed is I have never been tested on any of those core competencies again. I had my clinical skills test where I showed that I was capable of doing the things on this list. And then from NCCT's perspective, I've never been required to prove that I am still competent in any of these areas since that time. So maybe I had an injury between now and 2014 that prevents me from being able to do a venipuncture. Maybe I don't have my hands anymore. They wouldn't know. And even though that's one of the core competencies that that it's assumed that I have, if I'm no longer able to do that task, there's no way that NCCT would ever find out. And by extension, there's no way that you would ever know as a patient either. Until maybe it's too late. Maybe I blow your vein. Maybe because I don't have enough training on venipuncture, you get a hematoma, which is where you get a bruise forming around a bad venipuncture site. Maybe because I am getting a little complacent in my injections, I shoot a little too high into the shoulder. If you've had shoulder pain, you know that kind of sucks. The shoulders are highly complex, and if you don't place an injection right, you could cause serious injury. So this idea that I'm competent because I hold the certificate, not really true. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope I haven't scared you too much, but I do think that some things need to change in the industry for patient safety. I don't think that this is adequate. And it's not just with NCCT, and it's not just with medical assisting programs. It's across the board, and not just in medicine either. So, this has been Odd Job Entertainment, bringing you another video, hopefully not causing you nightmares. But until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment, signing off. Except don't go anywhere. We're still streaming. That was just the discussion topic. All right. Now, 24 pages, not bad. That's actually one of the longer booklets that I have seen for one of these programs. Usually they're quite a bit shorter. Now, again, I'm not saying that you should or even that I have ever used Control F to pass a test quickly, but it is something that you could do, so I would assume that most of those 24 pages remain unread in most cases. Because again, that is a vulnerability that they have not fixed. I think I had to get about 800 pages for air systems design and familiarization on the 787. That is a big owner's manual. And you should see some licensed aircraft mechanics. See, that's another thing, right? Like, based on how you're saying that, I'm now thinking that aircraft mechanics maybe are not as competent as we've been led to believe. So you're telling me that the tuna can that flies me through the sky 30,000 feet above the ground might not actually be repaired correctly? Now, where have I heard that before? Oh, I think I remember where I heard that before. So, yeah. I don't doubt that. Unfortunately, a lot of times these certification programs are not designed by people who are actually in the industry. They tend to be designed by administrative types who can only take a guess at what might be needed for a program to be successful. Which is very unfortunate because it's the rest of the public that pays the price. So, I want to go over the Ship Showdown Q&A. Looking at some of the headlines that I've seen around this, it sounds like there might be some cool stuff. Salty Mike says that there's huge updates here. And he shows a picture of the Polaris with the Scorpius flying above it. Now, if you guys have been long-term viewers of the channel, you know that there's one RSI ship in particular that I'm excited about that I know it's never going to come out, okay? But maybe they're going to say something about it in this video. I can dream, right? Look at the Delta flap issue that just came up. 100% betting a mechanic took a shortcut and the flap pushed off the track. Yikes. So, let's see. 787 Delta flap issue? Or should I be looking for Boeing? Ooh. This was 3 days ago? No. What? How? Does this thing keep replaying? Is that what keeps happening? It makes it look like this plane kept taking off and and flying again. How does this happen? I'll bet whoever did some install or repairs on that mini flap missed a step, torque, or safety wire, so one end fell off the track. Holy crap, that is scary. Boeing is having a hell of a time as of late. They used to be a titan of industry in the airline world. Now they are a laughingstock. And it's because of stuff like this that keeps happening. I'm sure everyone knows this, but the flaps on the wings are there for navigation. They help the plane make turns. You can make most of the maneuvers that an airliner would without a flap. You know, you still have flaps on the other wings, and you have your tail that also has its own set of flaps. So you can do the flight, but my goodness, you should have a working plane. The plane should be up to spec. The FAA is investigating after a flap on a Boeing 737 wings partially broke off before landing in Texas on Tuesday. Delta Airlines Flight 1893 was flying from Orlando International to Austin Bergstrom International Airport when passengers noticed something had partially broken away from the back of the wing. We felt it was bad turbulence. The plane was shaking. I bet the plane was shaking. You're missing part of your control surfaces. We're missing control surfaces in Star Citizen too, but that's a different thing. Passenger Shanila Arif told CNN, "The lady in front of us opened the window and told us it is broken. I opened the window and got scared. I bet you were scared. That is terrifying. I think the only thing scarier is to see literal flames coming off your engine." Video recorded by Arif showed the flap dangling behind the wing as the plane flew at hundreds of miles an hour, thousands of feet in the air. I think they move at like 400 miles in the sky, right? Okay, 522. I was a little under. I'm surprised it was even able to hold on the way that it was hanging off. You think about the amount of surface area that is now suspended on only one end, right? And you're traveling at 522 miles per hour. That is a lot of wind drag on what is essentially a sail at that point. Increase the airfoil size to allow for slower speeds and increase lift to allow for slower landing. Yeah. She worried if the piece completely broke off, it could hit the tail of the aircraft and cause a crash. I mean, we've seen that in plenty of Final Destination movies, so understandable. That's a valid fear. After landing, it was observed that a portion of the left wing's flap was not in place, Delta Airlines said in a statement. The aircraft has been taken out of service for maintenance. I mean, you need to check the quality of the maintenance, because it's been getting maintenance before this as well. Flaps are surfaces on the back of the wing designed to be extended for takeoff and landing. We apologize to our customers for their experience, as nothing is more important than the safety of our people and customers, the airline said. You know, when this kind of stuff keeps happening, Boeing and Delta, I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Nothing is more important than the safety of our people and customers. I guess this does fall mostly on the plane manufacturer, but oh, man. The good news is we have one of the good ones in our chat right now. Schlagzon is also an airplane mechanic, but I have to hope that he does a better job than whoever checked out that flap, because surely that is just missing minimum standards. It would be painfully embarrassing, though, to find out that that was a plane that you had worked on. Can you imagine? Jeez. Wow. That is insane. I can't believe that happened. Let's get into something happier. Let's start watching the Star Citizen live. Let's hope that they say something about the galaxy. Jared making some sounds. Hi, Jared. He's kind of entering his. Oh my gosh, I hit delete. I don't want Logan Utah, I just want Logan. He's kind of entering his old man Logan phase, isn't he? Doing the hair up a little bit. Got a little bit more of a beard going on. Got that salt and pepper. Hi, Jared. There's Elliot. Is that Elliot? I can't quite tell the British people apart. Okay. I think it was John Crew that I was hearing before. Hi. No, the raft has been MVP lately. Is it already out of the running? I've been a backer for close to 11 years, and somehow I never see the Spectrum post when they start asking for questions. So I've never submitted a question. Oh, that's a win question. We don't answer those. Same, same. It does kind of blur a bit. Is this a? Is that a perspective model of a Banu Merchantman? It has the same shape. A lot of wasted space. It's pretty inefficient. And engineering. But see, that is one of the major problems that people have is we understand that it's hard to go back and rework something to bringing it up to the modern spec, because that does mean that you have to take time away from something that doesn't exist yet. Ergo, you can't develop new ships the same time that you're fixing the old ships. But that's kind of a screw you to the players, I feel like. Because there's plenty of us who have these older ships that would like to see them get their day in the sun. But if you just told us that because it's an older ship, it gets lower priority, well, when are you going to fix it? Yeah, that's been a de facto rule. You may say it's not coming in the next 12 months or so. And if you are a Star Citizen backer, you know that or so, it's a very powerful phrase. It can do a lot of heavy lifting. Or so can take 12 months or so and turn it into 2-3 years. You know, it's a very competent phrase. No, you can't. It sounds like the video isn't presenting audio. Don't tell me. I didn't change anything. Everything's the same. Okay. I'll take it out. And then we'll re-add it. Just to be safe, I've already taken it out, so I'm re-adding it. Okay, I'm going to back it up a little bit.
To our,
Tell me if
I think it's our 6th or 7th 2026 schedule meeting next week. And next week, and I'm hopeful we're going to get an Origin ship in there.
On to the ninth edition of the schedule.
Origin ships. I would like
just
to
in
see
case
more of them.
people think it happens willy nilly.
I'd also like to see
a lot of
all
iteration.
the ships we own fixed to them.
And yeah, for the people in the chat, I can't call you out because there's so many. When did we start answering when questions? We're gonna have a couple of these. All
right, tell me, Schlag, we getting audio?
And the one questions we're going to be able to talk about are the ones that are like, it's not coming anytime in the next 6 to 12 months. I think it's important.
The volume a little bit, so it should.
It's not the information anybody wants to hear, but I think it's valuable to folks who want to manage. It's important for managing your expectations and stuff like this. We don't want to string you along or whatnot. If we know something's not going to come in the next 6 to 12 months and whatnot,
you don't want to string us along. Isn't that like the whole motif of Star Citizen?
To me, it makes sense. It's the right thing to do. So that's why we answered that one. And there'll be a couple more of those as we go through. Our next question, how many existing ships need upgrade/polish before engineering can be released? Now, this is a backdoor question trying to...
Ooh, I can answer that one. All of them. All of them.
Glean some insight into engineering. But I'll let John and Ben answer about the ship part of that, since engineering is not technically a ship feature, a ship content feature.
Yeah, obviously, vehicle content has a big part to play in this. So there's sort of two-part answer here is what's needed from the vehicle side to release the feature and what's needed to have the feature fully functional, bells and whistles and everything. So what's needed to release the feature from a vehicle content side is all the ships support it right now. We have fallback methods for those ships that don't have physicalized components, say like all the single-seaters. You'll be able to access the gameplay in a way through your existing MFDs to sort of repair and manage components that are damaged. So it's sort of not as unfair to those ships that don't have that level of physical components as those that do. And that will come with some downsides. But again, it's not a vehicle content feature, so I don't want to go all the way into specifics. But in terms of the full feature running around your ship, changing fuses, messing with relays, engineering screens, completely accessible components, we are pretty well through the list. I had a big chart that I was looking at the other day of where we are with it, and it's well over half the ships have that level of everything being physicalized, and the majority of the ones that don't so far are those single-seater ships that gameplay is of a lesser importance. So every patch, people have noticed ships getting little updates here and there, or have not noticed. So we're chipping away at that list whilst working on all the other things.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's fortunately the engineering gameplay makes the biggest difference to the bigger ships, and it's the smaller ships that kind of give us more of the headaches. Like not the single seaters, but like the ones with like the really small interiors. They're the ones that kind of gives a few more headaches because we're limited by the exterior of the ship and trying to cram in so much into the kind of interiors. But yeah, luckily
So yes, I can see their point. When it's a small ship, you have less space to work around. But also, who made it a small ship? I feel like that is kind of on you then, CIG. Make the ship the size it needs to be to make it easy to get done.
The mediums, the larges are a little bit easier to kind of update and support for that.
Yeah, and the big headline here is that it's not a feature that's being held back by the work on the vehicle content team. It's the folks who are developing the feature and the gameplay systems design team. And they're still working on it. I saw Torsten was over here. He was visiting from the Frankfurt office earlier this week, and he was in there with a big review with JJ and Rick and Rich on this earlier this week. So it's still underway. It's still in development. No comments on when, because we've done
so that's between not a win question.
Digital Citizen Con, actual Citizen Con, a couple ISCs. We've done 5 videos on engineering at this point. So it'll go into tech preview testing when it's ready. It's the answer we're going to give there as far as when. Next question from the thread: how do you choose the color scheme for the showdown paints each year? This is probably also a backdoor question.
Probably a random number generator.
It's a big spinny wheel of random colors, and we just go.
Yeah.
I
knew it.
To be giant and pink or purple again this year.
Yeah. Somehow the random number generator always lands on purple.
To make a decision on this.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a me, John decision. In more recent years, what we've been trying to do is kind of wrap the whole event into its sort of like quite a cohesive sort of brand and tying it all together. So you'll notice that the colours that the halls were and all the branding in the halls was reflected by the ships. It works great on some. It doesn't necessarily work as well on others. I think we're this year, like I say, we've got a meeting to discuss next week about what we're going to choose. I think we will hopefully have learned a bit from some of the ones that maybe didn't work quite so well, and hopefully make something that everyone well, it's really subjective in it. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it no matter what we do. So, but hopefully it will be more successful as we move forward.
It's going to be purple.
Can it be more purple than it was last year, though?
Well,
I'm trying to think. Last year was like purple and blue, and it had those really nice sort of like
That was the year before.
Oh, was it? Oh God, has it been 2 years already?
Last year was Milka.
Oh,
Wait, what?
no comment.
Milker? Is that a UK?
Milka, the European chocolate brand.
Oh,
Purple and white.
Milka. Right.
What's the line? Other brands are available.
Oh yeah, they're not the only brand available. Other chocolate.
And just in case any of Milka's lawyers are watching, that was not a binding statement from Planet Imperium Games. It's just colloquialism. As of 2025, most starter ships are far from being Gold Pass. These ships are the ones which are used by new players to discover the game, and they are sometimes so outdated and featureless that it feels wrong.
Now it's
Any
white
plans
and
to
purple.
prioritize legacy starters to Gold Pass them? I like a question with a strong POV.
Yeah. Short answer, yes.
Long
in fact,
answer,
this
no.
week we actually did the kickoff for gold standarding the Aurora series. So what do we mean by that? That means giving it all its physical components, updating the dashboard to current MFD standards, fire extinguishers, weapons locker, just fixing all the stuff that's wrong with it that doesn't suit the game today versus when it was made. And it's going to be I think quite a nice update for those owners, of which there are many millions.
Yeah, I have a little bit of an issue with the term gold standard, because like gold standard's like an ever moving kind of line. So it's more about bringing the ships up to
Current.
Current standard or 1.0 standard or whatever, however you want to kind of like stage it. It's it's bringing the ships up to the standard where they support all the current kind of gameplay and features that we know about kind of now. Who knows what's going to happen in the future and where we'll take things. So
so it could be that ships are never truly gold standard then, because there's always something being added, so they're always behind. That's great. That is a great plan. I think an argument can be made here that gold standard passes are not valuable until 1.0 is ready for release, which comes with maybe they don't need to release more ships than they have right now because they already kind of have more than they can handle, seemingly. So let's focus on getting the ships out that we've been told about already. Let's get everything up to a singular gold standard for 1.0, and then let's kind of chill for a bit and just call it good there. And
this is about kind of making them
Red Alert paints were pretty
today,
great.
Effectively.
I'd like to see more stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think in terms of like starships, I don't think we can say that we're doing all starships first, and then we're doing this, and then we're doing that. It's generally kind of prioritized by
which ship makes them the most money,
in kind of some sense.
Ship popularity,
ships,
same thing.
The most popular ships with the worst issues are the ones we want to try and fix up kind of sooner. But then also kind of what makes sense from a gameplay and a business sense. So if we've got something, a feature coming out that we know is going to use a certain class of ships, and we've got some of those ships that are maybe lacking, then if we've got time in the schedule and everything aligns nicely, then hopefully we can kind of try and bring those up to standard as well where we can. But yeah, it's quite a lot of kind of juggling of different things to kind of do the picking of exactly which ships are getting their pass when.
There was a question in the chat from Jenin Tonic. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this person's been in SCL chat for years and years. Hello. They ask, why was the Aurora removed as a starter package? Simply put, it's a two-factor thing. I can't remember when we did it. We did it a while back ago. One, I think the Aurora MR alone, there's like 490,000 of them across accounts in the PU. When you factor in all the Auroras, it's definitely our most populous ship, and it was still needing a gold standard pass. It needs all that work. The dashboard they mentioned, the damage mesh, the ground fuel ports, the radar, and all, needed work and everything. We felt that there were other starters that were a better start for people, just like the question originally said. So we removed it from the starter packages. You can still buy it. You can still buy it individually if you want it, whatever. But we felt it was more customer facing to push ships that were closer to the current standard, as Ben said. And when the Aurora is back and up to the current standard or whatnot, we'll look at bringing it back into the starter package
with a new introductory price of $90.
What have we got next? What happened to the 4th Zeus variant? It was briefly shown during CitizenCon 2953, and it was apparently called the Zeus Mark II ST. I don't remember.
What about the 3rd Zeus variant? That's the one I own. That's the MR. Where's that thing?
With that, but I was really busy.
I do, because a fun story here is I put the wrong image in the PowerPoint slide for the presentation. And I noticed that on stage when I turned around and looked at the screen, and it had all 4 there. So yes, there is a 4th variant called the ST. And the reason it isn't really known about beyond there is it has a sort of game loop that isn't really fully fleshed out. So we decided not to launch it with the other 3. And when that game loop is more fleshed out, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, it's one of those.
We decided not to launch it with the other 3. You didn't launch the 3. You launched 2. And I'm still waiting for number 3. I'm stuck with the 2.
It's one of those things we try. We don't always succeed. Let's just be real honest here. We don't always succeed. But we try not to push ships that don't have the relevant requisite gameplay at the same time.
Like the MR?
When people see a new ship that's added every month, and they say, why are they doing another fighter? Or why are they doing that? And whatever. There's a lot of factors that go into that. Not the least of which is that fighters sell. Let's just be real. But it's also, most of the time when people are like, why aren't you doing this ship? Or why aren't you putting another ship with this? It's because we're waiting for the gameplay systems to mature. Before we put more ships out in that loop. Again, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes a schedule is a schedule. But wherever we can, we do try to not push ships that don't have the requisite gameplay or all the requisite gameplay and stuff. Again, there will always be exceptions. How is ship modularity coming along?
I mean,
here's the Galaxy
it's
question.
Out there now with the Retaliator. It is another one of those things along with the Hull C that took a long time, and we talked about it for a long time in SCLs and ISCs.
You're probably not wrong. It will be a terrible bounty hunting ship.
It's out there with the Retaliator now.
It's not going to be
so really
any better in combat than the other Zeus variants, unless they
further
change something.
Onto other ships
those
that we
aren't
promised
very
it
good.
with is just simply time and resources to go through those other ships and do it. It's the same reason we haven't done the last one or 2 modules for the Retaliator.
I still want the ship I paid for.
In terms of feature-wise, it's there. It's working as much as we need it to work for ships such as the Apollo, which I'll say now is coming out next month with all of its modules, so all 6 modules. So it has the left and right tier 1, 2, 3 modules, so you can mix and match between them all.
Okay, so Apollo confirmed.
There might be some ships that I
don't know if they confirmed that anywhere else, but it is confirmed here
have
next
a feature
month.
inside their modules that doesn't work yet. But if that's the case, we're probably not working on those ships anyway. But yeah, modularity as a feature works.
Yeah. It's technically 6 modules, but it's 2. It's the left and right with a tier 1 bed, a left and right with the tier 2 with 2 tier 2 beds, and a left and right with 3 tier 3 beds.
Yeah.
So it is technically.
I still get confused by the tiers. It's the wrong way around in my head.
It is. We do everything in Star Citizen is generally tier 1 is your starting, and then you go up. And tier 2 is more than tier 1, and tier 3 is more than tier 1. With the Apollo, because of whatever decision we made back in 2018 or when I think it matches actual first responder injury stuff. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Oh, I guess that makes sense then.
But it's inverse. So the Apollo is the only one that's inverse, where tier 1 med beds are the best of the med beds, and then tier 2 are the medium, and then tier 3 are the lesser ones. And that is confusing a lot of people. We're like John said, the September promotional ship, flight ready ships are the Apollo triage and the Medivac, and our brand folks are onboarding and having to learn about this and stuff like this, and and yes, it keeps being a continual point of confusion for everybody inside. But we're paying for the sins of 2018. Us.
We're all paying for the sins of 2018.
I saw the command module recently being added to the public roadmap. Anything you can tell us?
Is that for the Ironclad?
First?
Because you're the last one that was talking.
Oh, okay. John, do you want to talk first?
Yeah. So, command module on the roadmap, that's the technical features done by not the vehicle content team to allow us to set up the command module, which you've seen on the side of the Caterpillar, and it's also on the Ironclad.
Okay, it is
that allows it to be a fully independent ship that can dock, detach, dock, and the complexity here that requires the feature development is it's not the same docking system as you see like Starfarer refueling or Merlin and Constellation series, because those are simply just two ships attaching to each other. The command module is that plus the transfer of control authority between one ship to the other. So you need, when you're in the command module, it's to have its own set of IFCS parameters and more, but we'll just talk IFCS. So it can fly off and do its own thing. And then when it's attached to the base portion of the ship, it then needs to essentially absorb all the control links of all the items that are in that other section, take over control of them, take over flight of the whole thing. So
in my head, that doesn't sound very complex, but I guess I could see how on the software side,
position where we can update the content to support it.
Very different.
Sure, and I think, like I said it was recently added to the public roadmap, not in the release view, but in the technical development view. That is being developed by the technical feature team is doing it, and then when they're done, then it can be applied to ships like the Caterpillar and stuff. So I think I want to be real clear. When you see, I think it was scheduled to end in December. That's not when the Caterpillar is getting it in December. That's when the work internally is scheduled to be done, and then the vehicle content team can grab that work and say, thanks, and then start applying it to.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not a hard requirement for some of our upcoming ships, but I think everyone will be pretty disappointed if we're not able to ship the Ironclad with its module, and obviously, like I say, it unlocks us to then be able to kind of work on the Caterpillar and everything else. So from our side, we're not in control of it, but we are pushing to try and get as much support as we can for it.
What brought on this recent design trend of emphasizing bespoke weaponry on your newest ships?
That's a good question.
Trend is 2 in a row, but question's a question.
I agree. It's an unfortunate trend based on just the last 2 ships. It's not a sort of weird plan to just bespoke weapons going forward. I think if I think about everything that's coming for the rest of the year, the only other bespoke weapon that is on any ship for the rest of the year is the Perseus turret guns. Everything else uses generic ones.
No, there's a bespoke weapon on one of the October things.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Because I continue.
So two more for the rest of the year.
I wonder what those are going to be.
Those ships also have.
Guess we'll have to wait till October.
And it's a 2-part answer.
It's just a vitamin.
One Ben could probably talk about from the visual side, but from the design side, it allows us to have essentially some level of control over the actual raw damage output of a ship, because as players know, everyone min-maxes. If you have generic swappable weapons, you have to account for a full size range. So if we take the Meteor, for example, and we let those be generic size 5s, I think that would be a well and truly overpowered ship. But because they're bespoke ones, allowed us to have size 5 weapons that were very constrained and had sort of downsize to keep it in check. And the same with the Wolf, that generic size 4s would have made it sort of just a Talon, but smaller.
I think you're right. It's a compromise. It's a compromise between design requirements and balancing and everything like that, and also between the visuals that we're trying to achieve. I think trying to fit generic size 4s on the Wolf would have limited what we could do with its visuals, and I know that's not important to everyone, but it does make up like a large part of what we try and do with the game. But like I say, it's a compromise. With the Wolf, we were really keen to be able to kind of have those weapons fold away and kind of compress into the body and give those really clean lines. I think it was a quite important thing for.
So what was the point of making size 1, 2, 3, all the way through size 10 if it's not a robust enough feature set to be able to achieve these things? Like, I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, there is surely a way that they could have gotten the same effective result without having to do the bespoke route, right? With the Meteor, if 2 size 5s was too much, give it another size 4 somewhere. Right? Like, it doesn't have to be a size 5. You can use other combinations to get to the point you're trying to get to and keep it within what we already have in the game. You can also just capacitor size. You know? They also have the ability to change capacitor allocation to different parts of the ship. With the Wolf, if 2 size 4s wasn't enough, give it a bigger capacitor. Give it a 5% boost to heat dissipation so that it can use the size 4s better or faster.
Kruger, and with the Meteor, we kind of wanted to really tie those weapons into the kind of the ship itself and kind of show that it's like make it feel kind of really powerful and really unique. I'm okay with occasional bespoke. I don't want to say that it's never okay, but the thing is the more bespoke things you have, it's yet another variable that you have to account for. And so every time you introduce another one, it's like, okay, well, how long will it take before that is properly balanced and in a good place? If only so many people use it, and that's a small number, it could take a very long time. So if we are putting in all this effort to make a tiered system with different sizes of ship weapons with the express goal of balancing ships this way, then let's make sure that that system actually works. If you're not able to do that, and you feel a need to introduce bespoke weapons as a way to compensate, then something's missing. I'm okay with bespoke. If you want a light fighter with size 4s, you can just take the Talon. Also, I'm willing to bet they will have weapon selections similar to the Nova Tank Gatling. But Salty Mike had a great idea. Don't limit the weapon, but give bonuses. Yep, I'm probably on the same page. The Wolf gets a 200% increase to ballistic weapon ammo, but laser capacitors are 75% compared to other ships. Yeah, see, those kinds of things make sense to me. Like integrate them into
that uses the like system we have in place.
The Ares ships, and just because they're not generic size 4, size 5, or whatever that means, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's never going to be options for other weapons for those ships. It just means that they won't necessarily use all of the ships, all of the kind of weapons that are generic in that size class. But it doesn't mean that you're only going to ever have one weapon for a particular ship.
Okay. I hear
but
what you're
saying. Probably not going to have one for a very long time. See if anybody else
picks up on it. If only there was a giant ship convention.
Do you need to wink at the end of that statement?
So there's going to be another variant of the L-21.
The ships with multiple S2 shields seem to have some power issues compared with ships with a single larger shield, as they consume much more power, but they perform much worse. In the past, you said that 6 times S2 of the Redeemer should provide an advantage in regeneration compared to a single S3, but currently they're not working this way, as the S2 shields have much worse shield regeneration. Whew. John.
That is very true. So we are in this sort of in-between stage of the current system and
because it's true.
Engineering. And I talked with Torsten yesterday to make sure I say the right thing here, so hopefully I don't misconstrue it. But with the engineering update, there's going to be quite a large change in how shields and other components function. And essentially, if you have a ship that has more than 2 shields, you will only ever have 2 available at a time active. So that means that if one of them goes down, your third one will come online to take its place. If that one goes down, the fourth one comes online, 5th, 6th, whatever. So in terms of power consumption, obviously that changes things drastically because you're only having to power 2, but you have this sort of larger backup pool of shield generators. So in terms of size 2 versus size 3, all the sizes will have changes done. Like every single item is rebalanced with engineering. All the values you see now are not going to be the same as they are when engineering drops. So you can't really accurately compare that 6 S2s now to, say, 1 size 3 coming in the future. But that difference will be a lot less with engineering update.
Just please don't make me swap all of size 2 to size 3s. It will break me.
Whose idea was it to make everything physicalized?
It was a really good idea.
Are there any plans for a medium to large class salvage ship?
Of course there are.
I love the way it always goes to Ben.
He's the last one talking.
So we want there to be like a full range of ships in a gameplay loop, like true dedicated starters, like professional starters, then small, medium, large, capital, whatever. And we saw this earlier in the year with the introduction of the Golem for the mining loop. So you've got that teeny tiny proper starter ship. And for salvage, we want to have that as well as this medium large ship in the future to fill the range out.
Need an orange salvage ship.
An orange one?
Yeah.
Why an orange one?
It's like an Argo?
Think, salvage suits orange ships.
All right.
That probably alludes to something like mole size.
I'm just going to ask this question, then I'm going to go get a drink. Backlog ships plan?
Yep. Obviously a very popular topic, rightly so. It's always, like we've talked about this over the years lots, it's always a balancing act. At the end of the day, the company and the project is funded in a particular manner, and traditionally new ships sell well. But that doesn't mean we can't not do the old ones. We have to do that. But it's always a balancing act between fresh new content, updating the existing content so it suits the game as it is today. Like I said, we talked about with the Aurora, that isn't really suitable for the game today. So we need to fix things like that. And then we also need to finish and deliver on the backlog ships. And that changes year to year, quarter to quarter, that ratio.
It's something we put a lot of kind of discussion into and thought into as we're kind of like planning out the years and what we're planning on doing. And I think we kind of generally look at what we're working on in the 12, 18, 24 kind of month.
The next 12 months or so.
Can you move your mic closer to your mouth? We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Yep.
Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just kind of echoing what John said. We basically, we put a lot of thought into it. We're kind of generally planning like 12, 18 months and ahead. And having a bit of a look at like where the backlog is, which, like I say, is something we do every time we're kind of talking about what ships next. If you take into account the sort of like the next kind of 18 months or so, after that we'll be left with maybe kind of like 2-ish a year that we haven't delivered. Maybe some years 3, maybe some years 1. But I think we're we're definitely trending on the right trend. There's a few manufacturers that've got like 1 or 2 vehicles left, and it'd be great to kind of get them kind of done off the backlog, and then we can really focus about kind of new and exciting stuff. But I feel like we've made a decent effort, and we're kind of like we are getting towards the kind of like the end of the list.
Yeah, if you look at the existing backlog ships, and we said this before, that we don't want to release ships without their gameplay, whether that's like feature-wise or game loop-wise. if you remove all the ones that, as of today, like if we could click our fingers and instantly magic a ship into existence, if we remove all the ones that don't have features in the game today or fully functioning game loops, that backlog list is quite small. I think you've got the G12s, which I know there's a question about coming, the Liberator, the whole series, Odyssey, and then the rest of them are ones that sort of really do need a game loop to make their use be good in the game.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to jump in there and stuff. It's often what happens is we have to interpret what the request actually is. People want the ships. What they're really saying is they want the gameplay. They want the gameplay that is associated with that ship, and we, the people in this call, are not entirely in control of that destiny. As everybody knows from our statement at the beginning of this year, certainly not all. It's been kind of exaggerated, but a bunch of our engineers and programmers and stuff are on Squadron, closing that out. There are still many gameplay programmers and engineers on Star Citizen working on crafting and base building and engineering and the new inventory system we showed off on SCL a while ago, stuff like this. So, but there's never enough people to work on everything all at one time. There just isn't. So you guys can make those ships when the gameplay team gets around to making that gameplay and stuff like this. But when you take those ships out, somebody in chat mentioned the Endeavor. The Endeavor's gonna. Let's just be real. We're gonna be waiting a while for the Endeavor. When you take those gameplay ships out that don't have the gameplay, the backlog is actually pretty reasonable and stuff. Even the Banning Merchantman requires NPCs and being able to set up your own shops with NPCs and stuff, and that's feature work and stuff. So it's always a balancing act. We answer some version of this question twice a year, every single year, for at least the last half decade, and whatever. The answer never really changes, but there's always new people. So I want to make sure it's a thing. We'll keep answering it because people want their ships and people deserve to have their ships in as timely a manner as possible. But we have to balance that between gameplay services being available and, quite frankly, the needs to continue pushing the project into new directions at the same time. So it's not easy.
Cosmetics. There's a lot of money to be made
12.
there, man.
12th question. I don't know why I said the number. Raylan cargo pod system, valid or needs rethinking?
I think needs rethinking. We're trying to put triangular prisms into a world built around boxes.
Yeah, I think it's. Can I say both? I think visually, it's valid. Like, we really like where it is visually, and we have been doing a little bit of investigation on this kind of fairly recently, trying to work out what we want to do with it. I think what that has kind of led to is the cargo value is probably going to change a little bit, and I think we will need to do a little bit of concept work to get the kind of the visuals to a point where it still looks cool, but it is kind of it's practical and it makes the ship kind of good to use, because the last thing I really want to do is push us too far down a particular route with the visuals that just mean that it's an absolute pain to play with. So I think we need to find that compromise, like we kind of keep mentioning. But they are valid because I like what they look like, but they need a little bit of tweaking to make work.
Yeah, they are gonna use the existing SCU cargo system that we have in the game, so they're not gonna have some
that was
weird
the
bespoke
one that I should have said.
Xi'an.
So I'm pretty sure this is a Banning Merchantman back here, by the way, and this looks like it could be. Oh wait, no. Now that I'm seeing it paused, now it kind of looks like a Hornet, but the Hornet doesn't have swept forward wings. I'm trying to figure out what his pin down here is.
Cargo shape cargo. It's going to use the same SU ones. It's going to take
I don't know if
32
it's a
SU
DMM
containers, but we have some ideas on how we're going to sort of wrap that up in the GATAC style language, and then the cargo capacity is going to go way up. I'm not going to give a number here. We'll give a number later on, but it's up.
will next year have a manufacturer focus like the past year seems to have been RSI? And if so, any hints to which one it will be?
We don't. This is going to sound weird after what has clearly been a year of RSI heavy ships, but we don't really pick like a manufacturer theme for the year. We talked on stage 2 years ago and last year about RSI being the theme for like the capital ships and going through that lineup. And a certain set of scenarios happened where we ended up doing some additional RSI ships, and that's been pretty useful in terms of building out kits and allowing them to sort of benefit from each other. But there isn't really like a next year's going to be X manufacturer and we're going to do 10 ships with that manufacturer plan. We try and do a spread.
From the chat, will we see more Kruger ships?
I hope so. I definitely want to see more Kruger ships. So it was
more fins,
more definitely.
Yeah,
maybe
more keels.
I think things like the Kruger ships, the Sula and stuff like that, stuff that is a little bit more blank canvassy when you kind of get to start with it. It is a very exciting challenge. I think if you take some of our existing manufacturers, you kind of know what you're getting. You know what you're getting with the Drake ship. Doesn't mean they're not fun, because it's great to explore their processes further, their manufacturing further. But I was kind of super happy with the Kruger and where we got to with it, and I will definitely be pushing to get more Kruger ships. Not that it's my decision, but I'll do what I can.
Another question from the chat. Anything about the Carrack cargo pods? After we were talking about possible changes to the the Raylan cargo pod system. Anything you can tell us about the Carrack cargo pod?
And modularity.
Yes.
Also ties into that.
So there's a lot of talk about the Carrack ones. They were never designed to be fully openable whilst they're within the ship. If you look at the ship, like the belly of the ship comes down halfway down the pods. We did some work early this year, to improve the opening, but they're never supposed to fully open whilst in the ship. You're supposed to drop the whole pods out, and then they open. If you look at the very original concept art, you'll see them like dropped on the planet side. That's where that ship's modularity comes from. And to do that requires quite an extensive rework of that belly area. So we're going to save that for when we have time to spread or time to spend more on the Carrack, because again, it can take cargo. I'm fully aware of how annoying it can be. It's not supposed to be like your mainline cargo ship. It's a explorer ship or expedition ship that can take cargo. Aware of the problem. The solution is slightly more work than I think people tend to think.
Yeah, folks in chat are talking about how loading cargo for the Carrack is so painful.
Yep.
I just realized it's in the side of my screen here. You want to see what else is painful about the Carrack? Here's a piece of merchandise that never made it off the drawing board.
Oh, it's in one of the better skins too.
We explored like years ago. I just had it on my table. Yeah, it's not good.
It's got issues.
An attempt was made.
I've been looking at that thing the whole time, wondering what that is.
That's what you get when you're here in my actual office and not my fake office we use for TV. There was another really good chat in question. I lost it. If you had a great chat and question in chat, ask it again.
Was it the CitizenCon one?
What was the CitizenCon one?
The sneak peek one. How many are we expecting to deliver?
Oh, no, that wasn't the question.
Okay.
Will external doors be made stronger so you can't just open them by punching the door?
No.
Yeah, one of those great game dev quirks is that technically melee is doing physical damage, so over time it will do enough to open doors. Short, midterm, we're going to be bringing in
armor's going to fix it.
Engineering, like the concept of armor having minimum thresholds. Damage.
He did
like
say
damage
it.
numbers. So punching would just never exceed that threshold to allow you to open doors. Longer term, Maelstrom does this out the box. It's functional now in Squadron. Like your punch doesn't do enough kinetic energy for the system to even care about, so you'll never be able to break it like that. And as the interim,
I'd really like them to go over Maelstrom again and show us
engineering will
what that looks like.
The sort of lightweight version of that approximates the same outcome.
I found the question. Sandman 0888 asked. No, he didn't ask it. I lost it again. Wiseman 93 asked, "Will medical beacons return with the Apollo?" Boy, howdy! I sure hope so. I'm not going to sit here and say it absolutely will, because that's still roughly a month away. But we are making every single attempt to get those things back online. They were causing some really weird issues. Well, most people don't need to explain to you what the issues were. It was just filling up the mission logs and making them unusable and stuff.
I shouldn't be so cynical. I'm feeling very salty today
and stuff like that. So they were pulled down this month so that they could make some fixes. The things that have tormented medical players unfortunately won't be addressed when they come back. This is just about restoring their functionality that they had a month ago. But we will have more information about medical gameplay and the future of medical gameplay and stuff to go along with the Apollo when that launches, as John said, next month. But second to that, every single opportunity is being made to get medical beacons back for next month, because I'm just going to say it. It's really silly not to have them on the month you're trying to launch the Apollo. And I'd really rather not have an unforced error like that. But we don't always get to control our destiny that way. So people are trying. I'll say that much.
Just hold it until it's ready.
Considering how many ships have been getting PDCs, including things like the 890 and the Reclaimer, will the Ironclad be getting some too?
Probably.
Very specific question.
Yeah. Sorry, Iron Chad owners, that you're not going to get them.
What?
They're really designed for military capital ships. I'm aware the 890 and the Reclaimer has got them. Those do not fit that bill, and the Constellation Phoenix. But that is because they were originally promised with them as part of their original design brief. So that's why they have them. But there's no plans to give them to the Ironclad.
There is a new vehicle with a new kind of PDC coming soon.
There is. Where there's a will, there's a way.
It's going to be like an auto mining
and also,
PDC.
I was just talking to the economy guys. We are adding the existing PDCs, the laser repeaters and the new missile ones we launched with the Idris K kit. Those are going to get added to the in-game shops probably sometime around November to make you people, to make those of you who have ships with PDCs have some more customization options. That stuff's coming. So about getting in and out of ships and seats, which always locks the player into an, in my opinion, way too lengthy animation that we can neither cancel nor skip. Are there any plans for a refactor of this, like there are plans for ladders and vaulting, climbing, traversal?
I mean, even if they made the animation faster, just like
some of them
whipping
are
out of your
too
seat.
long. Calling out the Talon, especially. That is too long. It needs shortening, but we can't just we could just make the animation shorter, but then all the audio and things are out of sync, and we want to make it all feel nice. And like part of the allure of Star Citizen is feeling like you're in that world. So when you start getting audio visual disconnects, it's not great.
Speed up the audio too.
I saw
just play
this
the file
question
faster.
Also sort of hinted like, why don't we just use the ladder V2 tech for getting in and out of ships? That's never going to work. They're two very different systems. Ladder V2 is for like static environment ladders, whereas this ship enter exits are very bespoke animations to the ship geometry themselves, and also have a lot of events tied into like when I start this animation, I want to start opening the canopy, deploying fins or panels or whatever. They need to be very controlled, but being able to break out of them is something I've wanted for quite a while. It's a priority thing, and it's on a team that is not under my influence to bias, sadly.
And I think you're right. You know, technically you could speed up the animations, but I think it's about kind of making sure that things still feel kind of tangible. They still feel realistic, relatable. And we did a mocap shoot for, not me personally, but there was a mocap shoot done for the Wolf Enter exit, and seeing the speed at which the mocap actor stuntman just absolutely threw himself at the kind of the mock-up that was built out for him to use.
Pretty terrifying.
Yeah. I'd say it was pretty quick to be realistic. Him kind of sprinting full speed at a bunch of framework and throwing himself over it into a seat was impressive to watch. Even though I only got to stop the video, so it was still good.
Some nice Dukes of Hazzard action in there. John, you just reminded me. I just opened up thesaurus.com. I was just looking for another word for bespoke. So we need, we collectively at CIG, we have a problem. I'm guilty. I'm as guilty of it as anybody. Bespoke only has one synonym. Tailored.
Oh.
So we stick with bespoke.
Yeah.
BMM.
Let's make our own. Citizen.
BMM.
Now we're getting to the good questions.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to put a pause here because I need to slip into some comfy pants. I've been wearing my work pants all day, and you've seen me sipping on my water. Now my belly's full of liquid, and it's running into the waistband, and it doesn't have anywhere to go. So I got to get into something stretchy. So I'm going to shut the camera off for a second so I don't do like other streamers have and moon the camera or anything. Let's see. That should... There we go. I don't know, would people want me to narrate what's happening? Or does that get too close to a hot tub stream and risk me getting demonetized? He then removed his shorts and he grabbed his Christmas pajamas and he put one leg into the Christmas pajamas, and then he put the other leg into the Christmas pajamas. And then he realized he's feeling a bit pent up in the shirt too, so he's going to change the shirt too. Oh, okay. That's much comfier. Turn the camera back on. BMM!
It's not in the 2026 schedule at the moment in terms of releasing. I do hope, though, fingers crossed, everything goes to plan, that we will start putting people back on it at the in the back half of 2026. We got quite far into White Box. We showed the progress at CitizenCon. It's not moved an inch from where we last showed it.
Yeah, that was
that
quite
hurts
a
so much.
Tough thing to show.
I feel for you BMM owners
and show where we're up to with it, but also appreciate, if we're still on stage going, look at the BMM. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, it's coming, and it's like, I'm just trying to be honest. So I think, as John says, we're hoping to get artists and designers and the content team kind of back on it next year, but that it's not currently in the schedule for next year's release. But as we keep mentioning a lot, things change, but that's a big one. It's going to take a lot to do, so the chances of it moving forward is pretty slim right now.
Can dedicated racks be placed in cargo ships for a max lift tractor tool, so one is handy and in the cargo bay?
That would be a really good idea.
I don't see why not. It's a pretty valid use case. Some of the ships we have later in the year do have weapon racks near their cargo bays. I don't know off the top of my head whether the max lift shares. So the way you decide what goes in each rack is a combination of size and tags. I don't know whether the max lift is classified as a weapon or a utility item. It might be that we need to just...
Pretty sure it's a utility item, yeah.
Yeah, we probably just need to re-tag the weapon racks to support both, assuming that they share the same metrics, which Ben, as weapon art director...
cannot remember without looking, so, yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to leave the camera on you for this one, Ben. How hard is it to create paints for the currently available ships?
Great question.
How long we got? Like, if I start waffling too much, tell me to shut up. It's really a mixed bag. I think, if you've got a black ship, you want to make it red, it's relatively straightforward. It's relatively straightforward for me. We have some material settings, we can change that, it's fine. Everything we do still needs to have, without getting too technical, new entities set up, it needs to be plugged into all the existing ship setup. It needs to be tested, it needs to be named, needs to be go through market. There's a whole host of other departments that aren't just like color swatch red done. But making something kind of just change colors like fairly straightforward. The difficulty comes really when it comes down to if you've got a ship with a particular kind of paint breakup. So if you've got a ship that's by default it's silver and it's got a little bit of blue or whatever, and it looks great. That's cool, and you can put a bunch of different combinations on it. It looks great. The problem comes is a lot of time we're trying to theme like packs around particular kind of colors or ideas, and as soon as you start kind of trying to get tints to work across multiple ships that have been set up in different ways, it becomes quite. You can make some really ugly ships really easily. Purple and white. So it can take, you've got to be a little bit more kind of careful with that sort of stuff. One of the things that kind of limits us a little bit is our
counter argument. Maybe you don't need to worry about making ugly skins because having a multitude of skins is better than having 3. So even if some of them end up looking garbage, I say keep soldiering on and keep doing more skins.
Breakup is kind of baked into our ship models, so we don't have the ability to kind of just go, okay, actually I want to make all of these panels one color, this panel another color. It's like it has to work with everything, so that can kind of add some complications. For unique paints, they're a larger investment of time. All the graffiti stuff we did earlier last year, earlier this year or end of last year, I can't quite remember. That stuff is a bigger investment of time. The issue that comes with that is there's a lot of additional geometry that we need to add onto the ships to be able to support the kind of designs. With that additional geometry, you then have to go back in and reset up damage, reset up UVs, reset up vertex colors and wear, pump it all through the LODs. It gets quite complicated quite quickly, and on top of that, you then have to go through and re-update all the existing paints and tints that have already been done for those ships and anything that shares any variants. So if you take a Cutlass, for example, all of a sudden you're working across multiple different variants, all with loads. It just gets more and more kind of a rabbit hole you go down. So they do take a bit more investment of time. To try and not waffle for an hour on just this subject, we have recently been doing some R&D into how we improve the system and how we want to make it easier for us. There's lots of really kind of clever ideas and things that we've talked to our kind of graphics team about, who luckily sit next door to me, so that's quite handy. We're kind of getting buy-in from these other departments, and they want to kind of see us push it as well. It now comes down to breaking down the work, kind of getting that estimates in, getting into a schedule, working out the priorities on it. So I do hope that we can make better paints quicker in the future. But at the moment, it's I wish it was just the easiest like color swatch pick go, but it's not. And I know there's a lot of games out there that do that. There's a lot of racing games that do that, and they allow you to do like full liveries across it. But the scale of our game, the texture resolution that we work to, you try put in a unique texture on a ship that's 250 meters long, you very, very quickly see the limitations of unique unwraps and unique texturing, which is something that just doesn't work for a game of our scale, and it's not a compromise that anyone's really, especially me, is willing to make when it comes to putting them out. Like, I'm not having low res, low quality artwork all over the side of our ships. Sorry.
No, good answer.
Okay, but making cosmetics needs to be one of the easiest things in the game. Like, that is such a moneymaker across the industry. Like, it's a huge oversight, in my opinion, that is not already one of the easiest things to do. You know what? I'm actually going to leave a comment. I'll just put 50. Let's put it like 50. I think that's probably close enough to where you started.
Check your check Teams for a question while I ask John a question here.
Okay.
John, can you give us any more info about other Retaliator modules?
Obviously, we need to do the ones that we sold back in the day that were not delivered, which I think is the living quarters and dropship ones. Before we do any further ones, there are no concrete plans for additional ones. But if I get my way, I would do a medical bed one, just because I think that would be a pretty good utility to it. I know a lot of people have asked for a actual bomber module using bombs.
Yes.
I think I would.
That was me.
Personally. That was you.
We call it the Retaliator bomber.
In that case, no. I would.
In that case, no. Thanks,
probably
Jared.
go the route of letting the existing torpedo racks be swapped to bomb racks as an option rather than a wholly new module. But we could go either way. It makes sense to do an actual dedicated bomb one, but we've got two paths for it.
All right, so that question I was trying to ask slyly, we're almost out of time. I was asking if we could get some extra time with our guys without putting them on the spot. They both graciously said yes. So we're gonna keep going because we have some more questions that I'd really like us to get to. Now I lost it. Any progress on the PTV rework and its backlog of paints, including the Best in Show one that was initially shown at least 2 years ago?
This is another great little fellowship task that we keep putting in the schedule, and then it gets removed because something runs long or something needs to come forwards. Yes, still planned. I think we did show a concept of it.
Yeah, I know we did concepts for it. I don't know if we've shown it
with the STV, maybe.
Because we did. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure we've shown it somewhere.
When we did the STV and we showed the other one that we never made, the other.
The UTV.
UTV, I think it was the.
We did. Yeah. We showed the whole family, so you could see the lines. Yeah, that is how it will end up. So it's basically the current PTV brought up to modern grid standards, space for components, and I think a pair of weapon racks on the back of it, so you could put your personal weapons on, and then it will have backwards compatibility with all the paints and the Best in Show one we promised.
Yeah, and I thought, as we normally do with ships, I suspect there'll be new paints for it as well.
Yeah.
I'm not ignoring your drone questions. There's a section at the drones just have nothing to do with the vehicle content team at all in any way, shape, or form. So we have a section at the end here where we're going to answer a couple of questions that don't have anything to do with this team. And one of those is about drones. So that's what I was asking about time for. Are we done with content?
Welcome, Larry Murdoch, to chat. Is this your first time here? I don't know where you're from, Larry Murdoch, but Larry H. Miller and Murdoch are both names of car salesmen. So Murdoch. And then Larry H. Miller, he's got places all over the place. So, maybe not the comparison you wanted, but it's the one that came to my head. Sorry about that.
Concept ships? Have we done a concept ship this year?
We haven't. Not done one this year. No, we're not going to do one this year, unless something manic happens in the next few months. But yeah,
I was going to say we only got 4 months. We can't whip up a new concept that fast. So no, this 2025 will end up, 2025 will end up being our first year without a single concept ship.
Yeah. It's something we've talked about, I think, loosely on various shows, that we ultimately want to move away from concept ships entirely and just go straight to here's the thing.
Just to be clear,
which I think is a positive move.
Ships, we just won't be showing them externally.
We won't be releasing them as concepts.
They're not going to be blue balling.
We're trying really hard
with the concepts.
We made a big
Sorry
effort.
to the concept artists watching this who are now on the floor.
Yes, they're still an absolutely essential part of the process. It's just that we made this initiative last year to really try to make everything flight ready, just to move to flight ready, and we did. Last year, I think we only had 2 concept promotions last year. I think it's taken so well.
Yeah, Ironclad and
technically the Starlancer attack variant was concept and stuff like
that.
But we
tried. We're
trying really hard.
That the Ironclad is getting released before the Galaxy.
As I'm thinking about it right now, if you go all the way back to
thanks for stopping by, Larry.
Original
Stick
crowdfunding
around.
campaign. I'm talking about the original stretch goals. I think we're still on the hook for a battle.
Talked about the potential fraud that exists in NCCT with certifications for medical assistants earlier.
Are we still going to do
that? So
that?
that'll be something interesting to check out in the VOD if you come back later.
We've made on it so far. So I think the battle cruiser.
We're going to get into playing some Star Citizen here in a bit.
It's a big old ship, and we are. I hope I'm allowed to say this. We're in very early stages of kind of our concept work on the battle cruiser at the moment. Too late, Jared. Sorry.
We're going for it now.
We have to do it. I mean, that's fine. It's fine. It's not coming this year. It's not coming anytime soon. Okay, so just don't want to get anybody's hopes up or anything.
It's one of it's a big ship. It needs a bunch of concept to get it right.
Which one's the Valkyrie again?
So far, I think it allows us to take a lot of the things that we've learned on our existing kind of ships and our larger ships and kind of wrap them into a big powerhouse and deliver something that we're kind of like we're super excited about. Not just in terms
what ship
of
are they talking about?
Firepower, but what we can deliver from a ship this size with everything that we know now. So
it's unlike any of our existing capital ships. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Or it will be, because just
let's see. This guy, he's got me covered. Still on the hook for a battle cruiser. I totally missed it. What ship were they talking about?
Here, I think it's taken so well.
Yeah, Ironclad and
technically the Starlancer attack variant was concept and stuff like this, but we're trying really hard, and this year we've succeeded. That said, as I'm thinking about it right now, if you go all the way back to our original crowdfunding campaign, I'm talking about the original stretch goals, I think we're still on the hook for a battle cruiser. at some point, which will undoubtedly be the biggest ship in the game. Are we still going to do that?
Yeah, it's looking really, really cool with the progress we've made on it so far. So I think the battle cruiser, on paper, it's a big old ship, and we are.
Okay, I think I heard Valkyrie, but they were saying battle cruiser.
Kind of our concept work on the battle cruiser at the moment. Too late, Jared. Sorry.
Okay, so that's what happened. They were saying battle cruiser.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. It's not coming this year. It's not coming anytime soon. Okay, so
hey, Larry, if you want to send some cargo my way, I still have to get 1.5 factions done, and it's making me lose the will to live.
So far, I think it allows us to take a lot of.
If you have some faction cargo, I'll just take it off your hands if you want.
Kind of wrap them into a big powerhouse and deliver something that we're kind of like we're super excited about. Not just in terms of like firepower, but what we can deliver from a ship this size with everything that we know now. So
it's unlike any of our existing capital ships. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Or it will be, because you're still working on it. Yeah. Just I backdoored into a subject here. Let's just be real clear. Trying really hard not to do concept ships anymore. 2025 looks like it's going to be, again, it would be impossible to launch a new concept at this point. So our first year without concept sales, we don't want to do any more concept promotions ever again. We might have to do our last one for the Battlecruiser whenever that comes and whatnot. But this is an exciting kind of big shift in our ships. We're flight ready or bust. Get the old ones that we need delivered done. Make new ones flight ready, and try to avoid concept promotions whenever possible. But realistically, if a Battlecruiser is as big as you're going to say it is, we'll probably have to do that one as a concept at some point. But we'll let future us worry about that whenever that day comes down the line. Not anytime soon. This is what you get, Ben, for details about the Battlecruiser. Are there any plans to add internal liveries to ships? You gonna let us paint our insides?
I'm a bit scared. I'd love to. It's one of those things that it requires teams outside of my control to be able to kind of deliver this, and they all have big priorities lists that they need to work through. My expectation is it will come, because when we're actually kind of developing our ships, we are setting them up using the same tint system that we use on the exterior of our ships on the interior. It's just we have no way of making that kind of player facing.
I'm talking about
being able to swap that.
The supply
itself
mission
as
thing
we make
going on
work,
right now.
We set them up in the same
where
way
you can
where
earn
we have
cargo for each of the 4 planets.
Effectively assign different IDs to different areas of the ship, and they will take on. We set those materials to take on a tin, and then we tell it what that tin is. So it means that on like the back end for the last, I want to say like 18 months or so, we've been kind of making our ships like that, so that when that feature comes online, we've kind of we're already kind of trying to work a little bit smart and not accrue more kind of tech debt and more rework that we need to do on ships. So
it is something that they could do then, which
I can't make it happen.
I think that would be cool.
People in the chat are asking you to show us your Pokeball collection.
Oh no, they're not Pokeball. Well, I'll show these, John.
I think they're helmets.
Sure. Don't know what you're showing.
They are like patches.
Oh, are they those things
back
there?
They're an internal thing we do for
behind
our
his
team
head
that ships. Anyone that works on a ship gets their patch.
Yeah, and that's what's on the windowsill behind you. They're just lit up from the little bit of sun we get in this country.
Oh, okay, I thought that they were like tiny helmet
cool.
models.
That's
neat.
I've got to thank John for doing that. He's the one that takes care of and organises it all. So I get to show off John's good work.
It reminds me I need to do last year's ones.
Yeah.
Because we're only up to 23.
What happened with the Wolf not being gold standard? Is there a conspiracy?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw all the Reddit inspection posts about this.
Yeah, no physicalized components.
Secret CIG conspiracy to stealth, lower the standards of the vehicles. It's not. Ultimately, we wanted to release the Wolf in August, no matter what, and we just didn't have time to do everything we wanted to do for the Wolf to get it out the door in August. I saw plenty of comments saying, "Oh, it only takes 30 minutes to go model these patches."
If there's any artists out there that can model, animate, UV, do the technical setup, LODs, get it engine ready in 30 minutes, we have open hires. Please apply.
Job postings at cloudimperiumgames.com/jobs.
There's a lot of work beyond the actual physical modeling, and some of it has to be done sequentially
obviously,
rather than working
parallel. I know that AI is not a replacement for artists.
If we're going to do the components,
I do wonder how far it could get
like
in
the final damage
application
until it's all done. We can't do the final UVs. We can't do the final LODs. So that time we spend doing those components,
a lot of times the people hiring are also
just
not
delays
artists.
Everything
they might
later
not be
and later.
able to
so whilst
tell
it may be
difference.
this amount of the whole schedule to do it, it shifts the whole date back. But they are in progress. I saw a video today of them all in engine, looking pretty cool. And they will be coming in a patch before the end of the year, along with some other Wolf-related things.
But see, here's the thing.
To that earlier in the show.
Who set the deadline for August? Like CIG, come on, that's still on you guys. If it's not ready, release it in September. Like, what are we talking about?
I see the chat saying, so you want to have one ship a month. Some months are going to have 2 ships. Next month has the triage and the medevac. Months like May had 4 or 5 ships.
A lot more. Yeah. A lot more than.
Yeah.
November has a lot.
Yeah, it's not a prescriptive thing. If the Wolf wasn't ready, if the Wolf wasn't flyable, if it wasn't an enjoyable experience, if it wasn't usable, if people couldn't play the gameplay with it and stuff like this, then no, we would not have released it. We would have held it. But a couple component bays, knowing that we can get them in to a relatively recent subsequent release, that's not a thing to hold. That's not a thing worth holding a release back. That's all that is. But yeah, I don't think it's any mystery. We're shooting for a ship almost every month, if not every month. I mean, I think if you just look back at this year and last year and the one before that, that becomes pretty self-evident. That's not any new information.
And that's not new either. Even in prior years, I can't remember a patch we did where there wasn't a vehicle released in it.
Yeah. It's mostly just
but the Galaxy's
we changed to the monthly
out,
patches
by the way.
now, and so that becomes like that. But it's just we've tried to have something included in every patch for a while now. We just do more patches now. Where is the bloody G12? There's that question you hinted at.
Where it is. Where is it?
Where is it?
This is another one of those vehicles that goes on the schedule. It's a nice little clean cut. Here's X weeks of time. We've got a strong concept for it, and then something happens and it moves, and it's really annoying because it would tick the box of all the Origin ships done, and I think that would be, I guess, with the exception of Kruger, the first properly complete manufacturer lineup, where we've released them all.
I'm just looking at my wall trying to see.
You and me both, Larry H. Miller Murdoch. I like the idea of stability and content over new ships every month. I would be totally fine if they did not release the Wolf in August and kept it till September. I think that it's a show of goodwill towards players to hold a ship until it is actually ready and focus on getting the content and the stability built around the game first. Really drive that home every single time. Especially this year. I mean, we've got plenty of ships. We're not really hurting for new ships. CIG might be hurting for new ships because it is primarily how they keep the game funded. But just hold. We're talking a difference of a couple weeks now, right?
If you're right, but yeah, I think, like I say, I'd love to get it ticked off. I'd love to get them done. They're super cool. I like ground vehicles, but it's not on the current schedule just now. Yeah. Sorry.
It actually was on the Twin Twix 6 schedule.
It was, yeah.
The first and the third review. I think it got punted on the third review, unfortunately. Just so folks, get a sense of how many times we reviewed this, how many times
the
it's revisited.
G12 was the kind of Jeep-sized one, right?
A whole bunch of factors.
Yeah, it's
why do you bring more and more single-seater ships with size 4 or even size 5 weapons? Don't you know that those are making not only makes it looking size 3 and smaller like toys for children. Anyway, that's what I would read it. Sorry, but these sizes are meant to be armor piercing. So for shooting down bigger multi-crew ships, this is totally contradictory for a multi-crew experience if the one-man army is able to kill the group ship all alone. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be. I was having trouble just reading it.
Right. Yes, those bigger guns are designed to take on larger ships. Is putting them on smaller ships a problem? I don't think so. We have ships like the Ares that is a single-person ship with a very big gun designed to take on larger ships. We want there to be a wide range of gameplay styles, but what we don't want is like we always refer to it internally as like the Jesus ship, where it's the best ever, and every ship owner wants their ship to be the ship. They want it to be the best handling, the most damage output, the strongest health. But whacking a pair of great big guns on a ship,
and clearly it would never be able to die, right?
Another ship, because we balance it alongside.
It just revives itself.
Any ships in particular. We balance that alongside the handling and the armor. Brains failing. So yeah, the Meteor, which I'm guessing is probably the source of this question.
Probably.
I remember. Yes, I remember for like the week before it released, everybody was on fire because it was supposed to be the most OP ship in the world and was going to destroy everything. And then people got their hands on it and they're like, "Oh, I guess not."
Yeah,
which is good. I mean, it's good that it's not the most OP thing ever.
It's balanced around what it has. It has those big guns. They're tuned in a way that makes them not particularly effective against light fighters and small, fast-moving stuff, but better against larger ones. It doesn't have the shield and health to take hits. Its handling is great in a straight line, but not angular. And we have all these different options for if you want to play a certain way. There's a ship for that, but they're not. There's not like A beats B, C beats A in every single category.
And I think from my side of things, I think hopefully we're building a universe that has space for all sorts of different ships, and be it
comes back every Easter
with big weapons, or be it big haulers and cargo stuff with no weapons, and I think there's
and it can synthesize its own fuel.
Pretty
do a little water to wine trick.
Wide-reaching game, or at least I hope we are. And I think as long as it doesn't break kind of like player immersion, as long as it doesn't kind of break the enjoyment, I think there's a massive amount of space for a variety of ships. And as long as they're all balanced, which, as John says, there's loads of different levers and strings that the clever people can kind of pull to make sure that the ships kind of work with each other, and we're not making something that's really overpowered. But purely from a visual kind of side of things, I think as long as it's believable, I think there's room for all sorts of fun stuff. At least I hope there is.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much closer you can move your mic if you're getting quieter again.
Put it in your mouth, Ben.
It's all right.
Put the microphone in your mouth. Swallow it.
People think that we're like professional TV personalities or whatever. People forget that most people here are just normal people. Well, not John. John's not normal.
And also, I've got like
Jared's certainly not normal. What are we saying?
I get embarrassed shouting at the top of my voice.
Shoutcasting episode.
I did. I took my one swing at shoutcasting at the anniversary live stream that nobody talks about anymore. Never again. Oh, that's the wrong camera. Gaming Llama Spaz in the chat asks, will we get more Star Kitten paints?
Depends whose decision it is.
I wanted to see what your answer was.
So
It's not as simple as you think, people. It's not as simple as you think.
We will.
Unfortunately,
popular. Would I?
Again, I think cosmetics should be the easiest thing to make.
Fun, that is slightly different. I'd probably take something equally as fun that is slightly different. But I know there is a lot of love for the Star Kitten. I think for me, it's why. Like I don't want to put out a new ship that's just got a Star Kitten paint for the sake of putting out a Star Kitten paint.
Why not?
If we have something in game, we have an event in game or an experience in game that is themed around that, then absolutely we do a load of ships around it. Or if we've got some story arc or some mission where the person at the end of it's a massive Star Kitten collector and you get one as a reward. I don't know. I'm winging it on the spot here.
Don't we have a brand called Sakura-san?
Yes,
that would be like an easy excuse to just do like a bunch of Hello Kitty type stuff.
Making one, I'd rather it have an idea behind it.
Or cherry blossoms.
Like, oh yeah, it's going to do well. We just made one.
Phoenix in the chat says no one cares about paint questions. I hope you see the reaction in chat, Phoenix, and folks can show them.
If we themed IE around Star Kitten,
get Phoenix out of here. Phoenix does not speak for us. Sorry. I care a lot about paints.
This is one of those things. I'm going to go ahead and step on a landmine here for you here. A CIG is not a monolith. There are roughly 900 or so people here, and there are a lot of opinions. And some people love Star Kitten, and some people who won't be named. They're not in this call. But they don't like Star Kitten, and it's we have to come to a consensus sometimes when we do things like this and stuff like this. It's a forever fight. I've been trying to bring back Star Kitten for a while. Ben has the most measured response to it. He goes, it should be purposeful, and it should speak to the product and stuff like this, and that's why Ben is in charge of this, and I'm not. I would just be putting cute kawaii shit on all kinds of random stuff because
he uses one,
and that's why I don't.
That was a naughty word.
But yeah, it's. Let us know. Go to Spectrum. Let us know how much you want Star Kitten. I don't care. I'm gonna step on it. Show people who don't believe with your voice that you want Star Kitten stuff.
Yes.
Or kawaii stuff or whatever. Make it happen.
I can see we're going into.
In most games, I am
taking a ship off to make a Star Kitten paint for every ship.
Yeah, every ship.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to recap some of the things that they talked about. They said that it's hard to do skins like that because of the way that skins are currently set up, which I think is just a huge missed opportunity. They're leaving so much money on the table with cosmetics that it's not even funny. So having an easy way to pipeline cosmetics into your game, that should be like top of mind for anyone making a new game. Especially seeing how much money you can actually make with just cosmetics. That said, the Star Kitten stuff, it's not my style. I'm not going to be rocking a pink ship with Hello Kitty paraphernalia on it. But, come on! We're talking about a society 900 years in the future. Like, this is one of the games where I think it does make sense to get really wacky with the skins. I mean, I hate seeing Nicki Minaj in Call of Duty, but you could have, dare I say it, a pinup of Nicki Minaj on a ship in Star Citizen. I think it makes more sense here than it does in Call of Duty. Star Kitten... Yeah, we need a Star Kitten for every ship. Come on. That's such an easy moneymaker. And I could see a bunch of PvP sweats just putting it on for the memes. And then, you got killed by my Hello Kitty ship.
At this point, we are done with the strictly vehicle content questions, and we have a collection, 1, 2, 3, 4 questions that were highly voted in the chat that actually had nothing to do with vehicle content. These were ship-related gameplay feature questions, where other teams
they did. They did a great job of trapping themselves with their old design.
I thought they were important enough that we talk about them and we address them.
We hear about it every time we watch one of these videos.
And I'm going to ask them here. Ship-to-ship docking. Anything you can tell us?
That's when the ships do this.
Still planned. All the ships we build for
that's ship-to-ship docking.
follow the metric we set out for it. It's still planned. The small round circular docking collars will extend to the bounding box of each ship, and then the two will join together so you can transfer.
And then they kiss.
Nothing's changed there, but it's not on one of my teams to deliver that, so I can't talk more.
All right.
It's never happening, folks.
I hope you can say some more about. Any update about rearm, repair, and refuel from a hangar inside a capital ship like the Polaris or Idris?
So this is one I can talk a bit more about. Like, this is on the feature team schedule to be delivered in the near future. I'm not going to give a date, and it's required as part of some other planned content, where we're going to allow ships to land inside, select other ships, and then be able to refuel, rearm, repair on board those ships using the parent ship's resources inside their cargo grids. So if you've stocked up your ship with RMC and hydrogen fuel, the ship that's landed in will, at this moment in time, it may change when it releases, use the existing Mobiglass repair rearm screen and go, I want to repair rearm, and it will take it from the resources.
And
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's not technically like blocking us from releasing any ships apart from, I think, the Crucible. If there's others, I can't remember them right now. But I do think it will add a lot to. Oh, thank you. The the kind of the Vulcan experience that isn't just focused around. Well, I guess it is still sort of related to combat anyway. But I think it will it will still add a lot of kind of gameplay to some of our larger kind of multi-group ships.
Now I do want to clear up some stuff, folks. For
I will say one of the coolest experiences I've had in Star Citizen. We were able to get a Idris almost fully crewed, and then we had ships deploying from within the Idris. And it was such a cool concept to be able to actually use the Idris as a carrier. But then there was that caveat that, well, the fighters still had the limitation of only having whatever they brought with them. So I think it adds a huge element to multi-crew operations like that when you can actually manage a squadron of fighters that depend on your bigger ship.
Kemi, hey Kemi, been a while. And folks who are saying Ironclad and Crucible and stuff. No, this is what John said, and I want to reiterate this here. Select hangars of existing ships. This isn't something for new ships, although it is something that will apply and make things like the Crucible and the Vulcan possible down the line. This is making it so. Let's just take a ship with a big hangar as an example, like an Idris. If you have extra munitions, you have extra fuel, you have extra repair goop or whatever sitting on your cargo grid, and somebody lands a ship on the same cargo grid, you can reload, rearm, refuel, and everything from that stock. It's not going to be every ship. It's not going to be every hangar. But there will be, like I said, it's on the feature schedule right now. And it's necessary for some of the interesting content that we have scheduled for the next year. So, know when, but it's on the schedule and being actively working on. And
next 12 years,
for some of the goals.
Next 12 years, next 12 months or so. There you go.
A really cool thing for ships when it comes. Did I get that right, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I get that right, John? Shows Ben. Nice.
Since we have revealed that the Apollo is coming next month, how are drones such as repair and medical coming along?
Cool. It's the drones question that chat
It's the drones question.
So drones are being developed as part of base building. Obviously, the Apollo is coming next month. That means
base building is coming next month.
Yeah,
that's not what it means. Or someone in chat says that. Drones will not be releasing as part of the Apollo launch. We'll rip that band-aid off now. When we were developing the ship, obviously the Apollo, I want to say it was 2017.
I haven't looked too much at the Apollo, so I didn't even know that it had drones. But the idea of knowing that it does, I want one that like does the alien UFO, like the.
We have
and then like
people working on updates to the
suck someone up inside it.
Now.
and then they're like,
beyond what we talked about the medical beacon.
I want to be able to abduct people with the Apollo.
Ship, the drones was this sort of grey area. They said they would do one thing in the concept. That sort of doesn't really apply in the game loop we have now for medical. They predated tractor beams and just the whole respawn mechanics we have now. So we have left space for the drone bay in the ship. We've not got rid of it. The space is there if we find a valid use case for them to exist when drones as a feature exist. But the Apollo will launch next month without drone gameplay.
Now, I do want to add that because the Apollo is launching next month without the drone gameplay, we are going to do something
the Apollo
else.
is the
we
it's
mentioned
basically like a ambulance RSI ship
base that the Apollo has. The left and right tier 1 bed, the left and right double tier 2 beds, the left and right 3 tier 3 beds. In the past, when we've added modules to ships like the Retaliator and whatnot, we have sold those modules individually. We are not going to do that with the Apollo. So I'm here to tell you now we are going to include all 6 modules for free on every Apollo SKU. So if you already own the Apollo, you've got it already in your account, we are going to retroactively inject those into all of your existing items on the My Hangar app on your website. So if you have the Apollo now, you're going to get all 6. If you buy, if you purchase the Apollo,
that's kind of cool
when
for
it comes
Apollo
out
owners.
in September or at any point from now on, it's not like a limited time thing.
It'd be kind of cool if they gave the cargo module by default to Galaxy owners.
All 6.
Instead of having it just be an
that's
empty
just one of those
space.
things. We were just looking at it, and it's like for all the reasons John said, absolutely completely valid about not including the drones at this time. We still felt there was something more we could do to kind of ease that switch over. So this is what we're going to do. So
what if you had drones that could like shoot body parts at corpses?
I'm asking you, John. Did I forget
anything?
It's
like if your arm is injured, it like shoots an arm at you and like
so that there's
knocks your arm off and puts a new one there.
There are some issues with medical gameplay at the moment, and
I make it like a Gatling gun too, so it's like
there, and
it's like shooting fingers.
Fix some of those things and improve the whole, like not just fix things, add gameplay to the medical stuff, but hopefully we'll get that for September, if not soon after.
And there will be some more changes to med beds and how they work. They're getting some additional functionality and stuff, but you'll learn more about that when that promotion stuff goes, closer to the event. Last question.
Galaxy.
Any update about being able to relog and log in on our friends' ships and beds for the crew?
I believe there are some bugs with the current system. That is probably the root of this question. But I'm not the team that is responsible for fixing them, so I don't have the answers to when for those. But I do want to talk about how we want to deal with logging in and out going forward in the future. We want, and I think Rich has talked about this before, we don't want to exclusively gate logging in and out of the game purely to ship beds. We want to allow you to do it anywhere, but there's consequences to that. It's just that beds will have bonuses. Like if you log out in your ship bed, it's better than just logging out on the floor or somewhere. And that means you will start seeing some ships where you go, that ship would have been really cool, but why does it not have a bed? Probably utility, where we're sort of taking that design mindset going forwards. So yeah, expect to see some of these changes going forward in newer ships. Like obviously exploration ships, where you're supposed to be out long duration, will have beds and everything. But those sort of smaller, short-term ships may not have them anymore.
Gotcha. So just want to reiterate here, because again, this is an early design change. It's too early to go into a whole lot of the details and stuff. But the idea here is to eventually move to a system where you can log in and out on your ship whether you have a bed or not, and then explore what advantages we can add to those ships that do have beds on top of that.
Yeah,
which we can't talk about now.
What if you got like a 200% speed boost for sleeping in a bed?
Cool. But for people like, oh, my ship doesn't have a bed, I can't log out. Well, that's where.
And then you get like dolphin diving and
minimizing the impact,
crouch sliding.
John, Ben, I'm sorry, we went an extra 25 minutes. I think I asked you for 10. I went 25.
No problem from my side.
I'm a piece of crap.
We can carry on talking about tints.
Yeah, do you want to go just full deep dive on it? Do some examples live.
Yeah. Roll out the little sleeping bag.
That's probably all right. Guys, thank you so much for taking your time to be here. Obviously, we don't do as many shows as we used to. Part of that is the big change to a monthly content. Part of that is the big change to we haven't released a whole lot of new features, which was mostly what ISC tended to talk about. Part of that was, as you saw in ISC last week, we don't want to spoil the content anymore. We're at the point we're making some of the most exciting content we've ever produced for Star Citizen. We'd really like you to get in game and experience that stuff without having every single thing spoiled for you on ISC. So we knew all that going into January, so the video content has changed a bit. But when we do get to have these times to sit here, I really appreciate you coming on the show and then taking the extra time to answer as many questions as possible. And again, a shout out to the community on this one. I think I did at the beginning that the questions this week were excellent. In general, there were a lot of things that we wanted to talk about. So thank you so much for doing your part. That said, there will be no show next week or the week after. We are in heavy swing for CitizenCon Direct production,
which is coming up in October.
We're here in my office on Zoom right now. We're filming all of the stories and stuff that you'll see on October 10th. Remember, that is a smaller, approximately 2-hour show.
We will be streaming that here, by the way.
Direct, for lack of a better word. I almost use the words bespoke than traditional CitizenCons. So it'll be a different experience. But remember, there are also watch parties. There's a bunch all over the world, including 9 that we're specifically sending CIG staff in development to. I believe John and Ben are both going to one, but we won't say which one right now.
Nice. Nice and friendly.
But yeah, so you can check that stuff out on the website if you want to attend those. But again, if you can find a local one, even though we're not attending, it will be a really cool experience. And at 2 hours, it won't hurt your butt on a bar stool, we hope. John, Ben, thank you so much. I think we got a lot of good information this week. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and see you next week. Or not next week.
George.
I just said I won't see you next week.
I need to go over my plans for October.
Again.
I think that there's actually a Bar Citizen that's fairly local to me. That
this is just,
if I remember correctly, they did say that they were able to get someone cool to come.
I didn't mean to show the tip.
There's a number of content creators that are in Utah with me. That it would be cool to be able to connect with them and chat and talk with them. So
on the internet,
I still need to figure out how I'm going to stream it, but I would like to do both if possible.
We're taking 2 weeks off.
I go to a Bar Citizen. What I might do is what I did last year or years past with CitizenCon, where I will watch it myself, and then my stream will be kind of a summary of what I thought about it. That, I think, allows me to give the most information I can based on my expertise and opinion. So if that is sounding like a good idea to you, go ahead and let me know, and I will probably plan on doing that. But Larry, I gotta come back to that name, man. You don't understand how big the name Larry H. Miller and Murdoch are in Utah Valley. Let me show you a map. Okay? All of these are the Larry H. Miller locations. It's like a line that goes all the way through along Utah Valley. There's a ton of them. Okay? And then here's all the Murdoch locations. All right? Like these 2 names, it's funny that you have both of them, but they are almost as famous as Joseph Smith is in Utah. It's that big of a name. So I think it's really funny to have a Larry Murdoch that combines both in the chat. But now you can think about that. That can keep you up at night. Thinking about how many people are probably cursing your name at times because of because of the used car salesman associated with your name. So another thing for you to stress about. I'm going to take a brief pause. I need to go pee. I also remembered that I ordered some Baja Blast so that I could have Baja Blast without having to go to Taco Bell every time I want it. So I'm feeling a little bit of a caffeine crash. I'm going to bump that right back up. So I'll be right back with some caffeine, and then we'll get into what we're going to do for the rest of the night. No, your name shows up as Larry Murdoch in chat. So it's like Larry H. Miller and Murdoch put together. Just. But what a time to be alive, guys. You don't have to sacrifice your bowels to Taco Bell anymore. You can just get Baja Blast on Amazon. Or sometimes you can find it locally. I couldn't, so I ordered it. You can smell that artificial flavoring and coloring. Look away, RFK. This is honestly the only reason why I would go to Taco Bell. And then I thought, you know what? I don't need Taco Bell. I can just get the drink I want. I am an adult man. I don't need a restaurant to gatekeep my beverage. And if you do it that way, you can even get the diet version. So I don't have to feel so bad about it. As I continue along my weight loss journey, sucks by the way. don't get fat. It's really hard to get not fat. Just stay skinny and beautiful. Good stuff. So, the other thing that I wanted to look at tonight was making another joystick mod. You see, the side stick on the VKB NXT Gladiator, VKB Gladiator NXT Evos, really all the Gladiator models, is they have I'll pull up a picture so you guys can see it easier instead of me having to like move the camera around. If you get the standard one, it just has a button on the side, but the premium one has this thumb hat, right? Now the thing that I don't really like about that is I find them more difficult than all the other sticks to be able to get them to do what I want. I feel like I have to put a little more pressure with my thumb in order to get them to go the right way. And I want to kind of break down why this is happening. So let's pull up Photoshop, as we do on this channel. Photoshop is, of course, one of the best ways, one of the best softwares to use for explaining engineering principles. And we'll put on our totally not overdone artist glove on our left hand, of course, because we are the, being that I am left-handed, I am the next step in human evolution. I don't know if you guys realize that, but yeah, being left-handed, it's the pathway to a lot of abilities. Like you're more likely to get hired at Blizzard. Women will love you. That they will want to be you. That's what people want, right? No, actually, it's gotten me no advantages. You're supposed to be like smarter if you're left-handed, because the theory is it's easier to learn mathematics but harder to learn creativity. Hasn't really worked out for me though. And my pen is not working. Let's do a quick check here. Run as admin. It is plugged in, isn't it? All right, I gotta trace the cable from this. The heck? It is plugged in. I'm going to try and reconnect it. Let's see. Didn't come back. Plug it back into that one. What the heck? Why is my pen not working? Let's see. Let's do some troubleshooting. I wonder if this has anything to do with the secure boot change I made. I hope not. I have restarted it plenty of times, so I don't think I'm going to need to worry about that. Your device may be broken. Oh, good. Connect your tablet to a different USB port on your computer. Man. What model do I even have? Let's do quick confirmation on Amazon. Just where I got it. So I have the Huion Canvas 24. Not the 4K one. It's probably this one. No, I don't have buttons. It's probably this one. So it just has the one cable, which is what I remember. Where's the download? Here we go. Let's get this, I guess. Might fix the issue. Newer driver. If it makes me restart, though, we're just gonna have to go without the tablet, which will be painful. Okay, sure. Uninstall it. I don't care. Yes. Okay. Uninstalled. Okay, we'll close this. Fine. Yeah, that's the only stuff that's considered graphic. Oh. Tablet's working again. Cool. I think we'll be able to. I think we're good now. Put the glove back on. So Lazy Nizumi keeps trying to tell me that there's a new update available. The thing is like most of the stuff that I use it for work just fine. So what they don't realize is I'm not going to update until they do something really cool. And then I'll just pay for the upgrade then. All right. So, pull this out. So the thumb hat on the side has a shape that's kind of like this. And then your thumb is a sausage that looks kind of like that. All right? But if we break the thumb down a little further off to the side here, we have this kind of fleshy bit. You don't actually have a whole lot of muscle in your hands, but you do have a little bit in your thumb. Here we have the bone, and you have this fleshy bit, which is mostly skin and fat. Plus a little bit of muscle. All of that works together to create a situation where when your thumb is actually pressing on the stick, let's say you're pushing this way, it looks more like this when it's actually happening. And where's the force being generated from? Well, all the tendons and ligaments are working through your skeletal system to provide that force. So since there's not a ton of muscle in the thumb itself, most of that force is going to be centered on the bone. So we can treat the bone as the force producer. Which means that the force is being applied from about this point, right? And then we have Fx. There's not going to be much of an Fy. You do create a little bit to keep your thumb planted on the stick, but it's overall fairly minor. It's compared to the Fx, it's small, right? But that means that our net force does something like this. Okay? So now we're also creating a moment about a point that's about here. Okay? And a moment is just force times distance, right? So we take this vertical distance to Fx, and that is our mx. Okay. We also do create a moment with the Fy, and if you look at where that point is relative to our Fy, you can see that it might actually be working against us if we're trying to get this whole stick to rotate. So all the amount of force that we have to use to push down is kind of wasted if we're just trying to move it to the side. So we don't need to actually go so far as to calculate any of this. Just knowing that that's kind of what's happening is enough for our investigation today. So now we need to think of some simple ways to fix this. Well, we're losing a lot of force because the force is being applied at an angle. So just like we have F net going down in this direction, we also have the normal force from the stick going up at an angle kind of like this, right? Normal force means that it's always going to be perpendicular to the surface from which it originates, right? So this is a 90, okay? If we can get that normal force to be more in line with our stronger Fx force, that means that we'll be having a more direct impact on the motion of the stick with less force required. And a simple way to do that would be to change the contour of the hat switch such that the points where we make contact with it are more vertical. And we actually have a great representation of this on the Gladiator with this hat switch right here. So if the thumb switch were more like the thumb switch that you have on the upward face of the Gladiator, that would be a more efficient way to transfer that force. So one of the things that I want to make for the Gladiator, and this will actually be used for any other stick that uses the same kinds of standards, is I want to make a hat switch pack. And if you are one of my distributors on Thangs, I'm going to be adding this to your membership. So you get a nice little freebie there, but you'll be able to then distribute these as well. So for tonight, I think I'll be content to just design one that accomplishes that goal for the side hat. So we want to make something that's a little more vertical walled than the one that ships by default. So now that we've got our problem statement defined, let's make it happen. Gonna do my I guess it logged me out of LastPass, which I probably need to just get a different password manager. Since LastPass has already had some issues. Let's see, what folder makes sense for this? Where did I put the triggers? I guess let's just create a new folder for joystick mods. And then let's go back one. Remove. Let's move this to, come on, move to, there we go. Oh, it was in the desk. Okay. Let's do some organization then, because this was part of a larger project, now that I think about it, of updating stuff for my desk. So let's just put joystick mods inside put it there. There we go. So we have some of our other stuff that we made for the VKB already. The trigger was super popular, so if you haven't seen these are the it allows you to have independent control of the dual stages of the trigger while still maintaining that dual stage functionality. super proud of how those turned out, and people have been loving them online, which makes me feel really good. So thank you for the support on those. Now let's make something else to enrich your joystick. And conveniently, these are very easy to remove, which makes modifying them a lot nicer. And it looks like the shaft that they mount on is a D-shaped shaft, which is a little interesting because I thought that it was going to be more like what the other sticks use, which is kind of a squared off shaft. That doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, that one doesn't seem to want to come off, so I don't want to pull too hard on that. So this has D towards the inside, so we do need to keep that in mind. And where are my calipers? Or I should say, where are my nice calipers? Because I have my Mitutoyos now, and I want to use them. Oh. Are they in here? Did I put them in the case? No, I did not. Crap. I do need to clean my room. I'm getting a little bit of a Asmongold virus here. My room is not as clean as I like it to be. And now I can't find anything as a result. Which tends to be the natural consequence of having a messy space. Found them. Here we go. Okay, so as I look at this in a little more detail, I also see that it is asymmetric. So one side has a bit of a chamfer on the bottom where the other does not. And that's also the same side that goes towards the joystick. So that's probably to make sure that it gets proper clearance. But I'm measuring that at 4.68 millimeters. By 4.48. Then we have our circular shaft that runs through the middle. And I'm getting 2.18 millimeters. And I also want to verify that with the shaft on the joystick. See, now that's interesting. It's actually measuring 2.2 on the stick, but this is measuring a little smaller. So there is some natural compliance that you get from a polymer, which they may be using to their advantage to just kind of get to stretch over. That is kind of interesting though. And then I'm just eyeballing it, but it looks like that D shaft goes across the middle. I don't have the means to precisely measure that. No, it does look like it's offset a little bit actually. Let's think. Actually, I can measure it off the stick. If I do this. So let's create a construction. So this is now just a little bit bigger than the one that we're currently measuring. And then if I measure from the edge of the circle to the flat face, it gives me 1.36. There we go. So now we need to keep that in mind for the rest of this design, because the orientation is going to matter a lot here. So this is towards the inside of the stick, or if you have the stick in front of you, it's to your right if you're using the right-handed stick. And this is towards the outside of the stick. Now we need to do our first extrusion, and this will be for just the shaft. 7.35 millimeters. No, actually, I'm measuring something different now. Let's see. Going on here. I think I might have not been well aligned at first. So now I'm getting 7.26. Okay, something like that. And that is to the base of the thumb pad. Now, we need to measure how much to take away for the D section. And I'm getting 3.5. So what we'll do, oh no, actually, not that face. It needs to be the other face. It needs to be this face. We're going to give an offset 0.35, and we're going to no, that's wrong. It's going to start from here. We're going to have it go the other way, and it's going to extend 0.35. There we go. That will work. Now this should just press onto the shaft that is currently in place. I'm going to fillet these edges a little bit. And these purple lines or these purple surfaces are appearing because it's not big enough to support that. Try something smaller, like 1 millimeter. That looks good. And then we're going to create our next sketch here. And I'm going to start with a circle, and then I'm going to truncate it with 2 lines of equal length. And if you didn't know this, but when your primary reference is a circle, if you make 2 lines equal in length, it will set them to the same distance from the center. And then I can give the distance a measurement of 0.812, and I can measure the radius of the circle here on the bottom, and that's coming back as 12. And if you haven't noticed, I am just converting these in my head as I type them in from centimeters to millimeters. So now we have our truncated circle. I also need a larger circle to represent the widest diameter of the thumbstick, which seems to be 15.12. And the total height we also want to keep similar. And that's 7.12. Nope, that was a little sloppy. Let me redo that. 7.13. And did I measure that correctly? Yep. 15. That's within margin of error. Okay. So to start, I'm going to extrude up to that face. And then from the front plane, I'm going to create a new sketch that then references this truncated circle. And this is the kind of easy and fast method of making it so that the shape that I'm creating here matches what they've done themselves. Probably before I make that though, I should do the chamfer that they're using. Not that much though. Oh, where'd it go? Let's start with that as a more reasonable option. We can measure that chamfer, and that seems to be pretty in line with what they are actually using. So I'm going to stick with that. Okay, now we want to use that sketch on the front face. We're going to go normal to that. And we're just going to rough in some triangles. There's a cut on both sides of the stick to get it to match up with the contours that they have here. So we'll set those to pierce. And on the interior side, it actually gets truncated at the top as well. So we can measure across from the radius, and that will tell us by how much they've cut it. So they cut it by that much. Okay. And then we can measure the height of the flat section. 3.37. Oh, whoops, nope. Switch into measurement mode. Something like that. And on the other side, we can measure the height as well. But I also notice that it matches up with this line. Okay, now we can extrude these through all, make it symmetric. There you go. So we've got what is almost a pure representation of what VKB ships these with by default. Now, there is one aspect of the original that I do want to replicate, and that is the scallop shape going from front to back. So it does kind of a shape like that. That makes it really nice for your thumb to rest on. If you don't have that and you have a harsh edge, that's going to create a pressure point on your thumb, which is not going to be comfortable. And it does give you the ability to pull and push it with your thumb fairly naturally in the forward and back direction. We're just trying to fix the side to side. I like the forward and back that they have. Just want to add some more emphasis to the side to side movement. So now I need to think about how I'm going to do that. And I think what may be the best way to do it is to do a loft that follows a curved path from front to back. Or no, actually, I think I can get the same result of what I'm looking for differently. So let's hide those sketches. I don't think we'll need those for a while. Or again. From the right sketch, or from the right plane, we create a new sketch. Okay. We're going to make this arc tangent. We're going to create some reference geometry this way. Let's see. I'm going to undo those steps because I lost track of this point. Let's give this a dimension for now so that doesn't go wandering off. And we can also set this to be vertically aligned with the origin. Now, since I do like the amount of curvature they've given it, I can measure the front height to get an estimate as to of how much it curves. And when I do that, you're going to see that it's going to give me an error once I type in a dimension. That's because you can't have this front height and the radius that we've already defined. So let's delete that. Now we have something that does match more of what they had. And if I measure across the height of the stick, I suspect that we'll find that it's less than what I have measured here. In CAD, that is. So that's yielding 12.6-ish. I'm going to do a line across. And see, that does end up being quite a bit lower, but I don't think it should be that low. I made a mistake here. Let's try that again. Well, that's what it's saying. But rechecking this measurement, I am getting more like 0.2. Now, it may not be true that this is actually tangent. It may be something more like that, but it does seem, by feeling it, that it does kind of flatten out across the top of the stick. And so I need to kind of decide if I want to keep it curved or if I want to flatten it out. And I do like that front to back movement. But I don't mind the other stick as well for how it moves. So I think you could make arguments for both. Flipping a coin in my head, I think for now, let's make this a construction line. So we can use that as a reference in the future, but I'm not going to do anything with it for now, and I'm going to keep the curve that we defined. But I am going to lessen the degree of curvature so that we have some more vertical height to play with for making our sidewalls for our thumb. So that's removing too much. I don't want to remove quite that much. If we measure side to side across the top, I think probably 8 millimeters will give me what I want. That's what that looks like. Let's see how that compares to the other stick we're trying to kind of combine here. They're doing 1 on that other one. What does that look like? It looks like that. Which I do think that looks a little better. Let's go back to this sketch. And I'm going to create another arc. I think what I'll do is I'll actually have it be the same radius, but I'll move it up a little bit. Set these as vertically aligned with the origin. And then this one will be tangent with the top. And then if I show that again, I can extrude these through all symmetric. Do a remove. Okay, that's starting to look pretty good. I think if we printed this, this would be functional, but I think we can do a bit more to make it a little nicer. It looks like, relative to what the default stick does, this is going to move our thumb in towards the middle a little more, which I'm not going to worry about for now. I'm going to see if that's something that I like or absolutely hate. I don't know yet. I do know that I'm not going to want a perfect vertical wall in the corners, so I do want to give me a little bit of a relief there. like so, just to soften that transition a little bit. Likewise with this top edge. You don't want to touch sharp corners. They don't feel good on your skin. So whenever possible, you want to get rid of them. So that will feel a lot better. Keep that going around all the contact surfaces, and that will just do a lot to eliminate the potential for pressure points. And then I do like the grippy texture that they give it with the kind of scalloped ribs that go across the top. And we can mimic that by doing another sketch on the right plane. And we can use our top surface as a reference. And it looks like they're going for kind of a V cut on the original. I think it'll be a little easier to clean though if we do something more circular. Then there will be fewer sharp corners for grime to hide in. And I don't think we need to make them as deep either, which will be another way to kind of make it a little nicer to clean. And then I'm going to create a distance of that much, so it's all kind of ubiquitous. Then we do a remove, and I'll need to do it to that face, and then to that face. If anyone from the Onshape team happens to be watching, I do think it would be pretty sick if you added the ability to do a symmetrical up to face. So that would have me uncheck that, do a blind, and then do symmetric. But you know, this does work, but I think that would be pretty cool because I find that I end up doing these kinds of constraints a lot, and that could also be accomplished by doing a symmetric up to face. So then we're going to do something that we haven't done on the channel before with our projects, and that is this curve pattern. So it's accessed by going to where you usually do your linear and circular, but you can also do a curve. And we're going to pattern a feature, which is our extrude, and we're going to pattern it along this curve. Doesn't look like it's going to want to work in this case. Oh, because it says it's too long. Let's try that. There we go. Ha! Now it's appearing. We can add those to it. Now we have 15 ribs created very quickly. Those do look a little more spaced out than the original. So if we want to bump that number up, like 25, let's see what that looks like. Doesn't like that. Let's try 20. 16. And then we can also shorten that distance. That makes them much more frequent. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's just go with 9. And let's figure out, and then now if we do the equal spacing, it'll do that. So we did go for a much smaller shape than they used for the original, which is probably causing it to look quite a bit more shallow here. So if we're not thrilled with that, we can make this a little bigger. And if we click on Final while we're still in the sketch, you can see in real time what kind of effect that has. Now the next thing that we see here is that because we were using a circle for our profile, it does create this kind of overhang. That is going to be miserable to get dirt out of. So we don't want to do that. So let's do this. Let's create a kind of a box around it. And we can do Shift L to keep things, well, see, this is nice and perpendicular, so let's just actually do it like, let's do a tangent that way. And then it doesn't want to actually let me set the perpendicular aspect here, so I can create another construction line. And it's not allowing me to set it as perpendicular to a curve because you can't have a right angle with a curve. I'm going to set these 2 points vertical to each other just to give that an easy end. And then there we go. So now, because we made our circle a little taller by giving it a hat, that has taken away the top edge of all of our little troughs we've carved out. But you remember what I said about sharp edges? We don't like them. It would be really cool if I could just pull this down, but it doesn't seem to like that super a lot. Let's see if we can make it work though. Let's, oops, not quite what I wanted to do. Let's delete these lines and see if we can just use the original curve. Like so. Get rid of that, and that, and that. This is now tangent to that, and there, and let's see what's still messing up. There. Like so. Still not happy with something. What am I missing? Oh, didn't like that. Let's get rid of that. It really doesn't want me to get rid of this. Why? There. Now it's gone. So, fixed all the errors in 6. And we need to just give it the new path. Make sure to include all of them so that they are equally spaced. Now, let's fix fillet 2. Sometimes it gets a little wonky with the scroll. Oh, you know what? Let's just start fresh so that we can see where it hangs up. Why is that face selected? That shouldn't be selected. That line should be, though. Of course, unselecting the face somehow broke it. Let's retrace our steps. Okay. So if I have that selected, right now it's working. If it wants me to use that, fine. I'll use it. Shouldn't need it, but whatever. Let's see if we can't get everything else working, and then maybe we can get rid of it. I don't like to have faces set as the reference for a fillet because that can cause other kinds of issues. Ah, it's broken. It's not happy. So it's fine with those. Then we add that and it breaks. Can we add that one? Nope, doesn't like that either. I might be trying to do too much with this fillet, but it would be nice to have them all in the same feature so that they all kind of work with each other. Let's try reducing the radius. See if that allows me to get more of these in. not liking it because I didn't have that selected? No, it just really does not want to let me do that one. Okay, so let's call that one good. Will you let me do any of these now? Ooh, that might be it. Nope, still not happy. Man, it was just working. Why is it not happy now? I want to try something else. I want to... Oh, no. It really needs that one, doesn't it? See, it works fine on this side, but it doesn't want to work for me on the other side. Why? Should be basically like identical geometry. But somehow it's not. Let's see if we can figure out why that is the case. Maybe that'll make it easier. I do define my own distance over here. That could be part of the issue. I can bump that up too. Doesn't need to be that small. Let's just start that over. Delete that. Jeez, this is going to be so many references. Okay, let's actually just go with faces. Let's see if faces is going to work out for me here. It was working, and then it broke. See if adding these will fix it. Nope. Okay, so it's fine with those. Doesn't like to do that face. Just want to see if adding the edges will fix that. But so far, no dice. If I set it smaller, it works though. Is that small enough that it's going to work the way that I want it to? I don't think so. I think I do need the slightly bigger radius. Get rid of all the edges. Let's get the ones that we can get. Okay, if I don't do these troughs, it will let me do these edges, it looks like. Which I think is preferable because I think I can work out another plan of attack for these. Alright, so that works. Now let's just do these as their own step. Aha! There we go. Alright. That's as big as it wants to make it without making me rework a bunch of stuff. So I will stick with that for now. And this should be plenty good to do a initial print and see how it feels in the hand. And if successful, this might be my new side thumbstick. Eventually, I want to have a Odd Job Entertainment custom version of all the hat switches. So do keep an eye out for those. But I think this looks pretty good. It's still a very basic stick. It's not super fancy, but it should work for what we need. So for now, I'm going to... Oh, I see some curves I missed. Crap. All right. that would have bugged me. All right, that looks better. Okay, so like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Look at that. Got a nice little animation there. Made that myself in Adobe After Effects. It was a major pain in the butt. I also made this one. Every live stream and video I do gets a special mention for the Orbital Bombardiers and above. Your support directly helps me make more content like this. So thank you, John Best and the Prime, for your support. But until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment signing off. Once I find the outro. There's the outro.